as close as you could get to a real game. And I work a couple of days a week at West Coast, and I bumped into Andrew McWalter and asked him about just having the one game. I thought it might be a bit light on personally, but he's fully supportive of it. And consequently, we've probably got two teams that are, they've got injuries, but it doesn't look like they've left anyone out who's available, Jimmy. So should be a great game.
Going to be a fantastic afternoon. Steve, what could be an unmissable moment for Drinkwise? You won't miss a moment if you drink wise.
I'll use the plural, Jimmy, moments. Mm-hmm. Shea Bolton, I think a lot of interest in how he performs. And Keziah Pickett, he provides plenty of highlights when he's on his game. So I think I'm expecting some unmissable moments from each of those players. I've got a lot of interest in how Clayton Oliver plays. He had a brief look at him in the warm-up. He certainly looks a little bit better than he did for most of last year. Petrarca will be another watch, but I've got a bit off track, haven't I, Jimmy? So unmissable moments, Bolton and Pickett.
And Melbourne today wearing the Flaming D. I haven't seen that since the early thousands, but it is a fantastic kit. And Fremantle will be kicking to the right of your radio dial, which is the southern end here at Mandra's Rushton Park. Starting on the bench for Fremantle, Walters, O'Driscoll, lots of hype around this young fella. Murphy Reid, who's donning a blue headband this afternoon. Corey Wagner also on the bench for Fremantle. Solid midfield lineups here. Andy Brayshaw, Steve, has already got some tape wrapped around his head, which I'm assuming is probably from a training incident earlier this week, because he was wearing it in the warm-up. So no holds barred at Fremantle. How do you expect this one to play out, Steve?
I think Freo in a close game. Interestingly, Oliver's not starting in the centre square, Jimmy. He's starting, he's at centre-half forward. He's not going to play centre-half forward, I wouldn't have thought, but he's not in the centre square at the start.
We're underway in Mandurah. Gone, and look at this, the first clearance of the afternoon goes to Petrarca, who bombs it up to centre forward. Mark taken by Sparrow, who chips it inside for the D's. No one there. Coming out to meet it, Van Ruin couldn't quite. Quick little kick from Sarong is a turnover, and it's marked by Jack Billings. 45 out at right half forward.
Yes, Viney was calling for the ball for seemingly ages, Jimmy, from Sparrow. Sparrow saw him late and then miskicked it. Viney would have been absolutely spewing, but the kick under pressure from Freo wasn't a good one. When you're under pressure, they've got to kick it long and wide or along the ground, Jimmy, and it gave Billings a chance.
He comes in, left foot, 48 metres, kick on the way, missing to the near side, the former St. Billings. The first score of the afternoon goes to the D, 0-1-1. Fremantle yet to score. Christian Petrarca, an early clearance, which will do his confidence coming back from those injuries a world of good.
And Jimmy, Melbourne are kicking with a bit of a breeze. Normally the breeze does go to our left, if you like, coming from the southwest, and that's the way Melbourne are going in this quarter.
Contest at halfback here for Fremantle. Sarong involved. Big tackle by Sparrow on Frederick, holding the football. Great start from Sparrow for the D's. This will be his second entry inside 50. He's too far out to score. Last time he just popped it up. This time he goes into the pocket. Underneath it, coming across, was Davies, mopping up Ryan for the Dockers. Clark in close confines, bombs it on the left boot out to a 2-on-1. Frederick did well to compete. Brayshaw's handball was smothered, went back in and got it. Big tackle on him by Sparrow, who's been involved in everything in the first couple of minutes. Yeah,
the ball's been over that in that area, hasn't it, for the first few minutes, and Sparrow's been involved in every bit of play in his area. Another tackle by Sparrow.
He has started red hot. Just one of those players, you know what you're going to get from. 95 games for the D's. He was in that 2021 premiership.
Yeah.
Just gives them so much aggression and grunt at half forward as Brayshaw, classy off half back. And then, dare I say it, too early, dropped it. Sarong came in to lend a hand. Big tackle. Ball going nowhere. Footy will be balled up on the outer side of the centre square.
Yeah, Fremantle came out the front of the stoppage and they would have been able to get really clear, but a fumble by Brayshaw caused the ball up again.
He's going head-to-head with Petrarca. The D's midfield on top for the time being. Oliver inside 50 and all by himself. Bailey Fritsch chest marks it. 30 out, directly in front. There was not a Docker anywhere near him.
Yeah, clever play by Oliver. I'm 95% sure he meant it. I don't know if he meant to hit him right on the chest, so to speak, like he did. He was running towards the boundary and hooked it with his left foot. I think he was going for Fritsch. I think he'd be elated at how accurate the kick was, and so is Fritsch.
41 goals, 23 last year for Bailey Fritsch. He hits this one skinny and misses to the right-hand side. So the D's getting their bad shots out of the way early.
Well, for a few years now, Jimmy, they've had issues with converting. I think they've had now 5 inside 50s for 2 points, and there's been a lot of games in recent years where Melbourne have had a lot more inside 50s but haven't converted. It's only early days, but that would be something that they would be wanting to improve this year.
Fremantle really battling to get this football out of their back half. There's a free kick off the ball going to the D's skipper, Gawn. D's lead it 2-0, 4 gone opening term. We do it for Macca's. Fiery new spicy McChicken wrap is here. Inside 50 again. Go the D's. Contest in the left forward pocket. Ball up. Around 40 out from their goal.
I suppose I should give a bit of credit to the Freo defence. They've been under the pump and haven't conceded a goal, although that's mainly due to, I think Fritsch's that wasn't a good shot, was it? 35 out.
He should have kicked it, I think.
Yeah.
I think he would admit that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, so, but nevertheless, Freo have held up reasonably well from this early onslaught by Melbourne.
2 behinds plays 0. Fremantle are pegged back in their defensive 50. Throw a blanket over about 12 blokes here. Football is not coming out. That's scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys.
Well, the ball hasn't been past Fremantle's. The only time it's got anywhere near the centre, let alone into Fremantle's forward line, is at the first bounce. The rest of the players been in Melbourne's front third. They're locking it in really well.
There is not a player in Fremantle's front half at this stoppage, which is at half back for the Dockers. Johnson in the bright yellow boots sends it up to the wing, but it's all Melbourne. May takes the mark unopposed.
Yeah, well read by May. His opponent had pushed upfield, Amos, and ended up taking a mark on his own. Got a good defence, Melbourne, haven't they? Lever and May.
Very reliable.
Yeah.
Key backs as Lever bombs it inside 50. Mark eventually taken by Cox for the Dockers. 5.5 gone opening quarter. Here on AFL Nation, Melbourne 2 behinds. Fremantle yet to score and yet to be in their forward half. Or, well, maybe Stephen May's mark actually may have been their first time that they were actually in the front half of their ground. This looks a little bit better. Chapman out of the West Perth Football Club in the waffle. Heath Chapman just backward of the wing, poking to a 2-on-1. Melbourne's numbers arrive to create the contest. They're all on the same page. Bowie gives the handball up. Lindsay gets involved to half forward for the D's. Cox down there. Davies was the intended target but shoved off it. Clark runs his measure. Handball to the ankles of Jackson, who mops it up well to O'Meara. This is better. Here come the Dockers. Amos with plenty of options in front of him. He tried to get it to Bolton. This would be something special. And he misses as he was pushed on the kick. Shea Bolton's first shot as a Docker is a behind, but it looked exciting.
Yeah, well, Fremantle really cut through Melbourne's defence. They had players everywhere and looked really promising build up there from Freo. Bolt was under a bit of pressure when he snapped it. And now Melbourne got the ball and playing a bit of controlled footy in their back third.
2 plays 1. 2 behinds, that is, to 1 behind. 7 gone opening quarter here for Tyre Power. Big brands and better buys in Mandurah. Brilliant mark taken by former D. Luke Jackson up against some of his old teammates and mates here this afternoon. It is a beautiful Perth afternoon. Not a cloud in the sky here in Mandurah as Tracy was shoved underneath the football. Here comes Bolton. Finds some space. Dishes it out to Clark on the half volley. Barely the 15. This will be paid. Windsor juggled it. It certainly didn't eventually end up going 15. Sparrow on the outer wing has Frederick for company, who gathered the football, poked Fremantle to right half forward. Here's Amos in the pocket. Tight attempt on goal. Misses everything. Amos out in the full. The D's will have it in the back pocket.
Yeah, it does look as though the players are not handling the step up in pressure from training and the game simulation. You know, some fumbles, some skill errors. I guess that's why they're playing this full hit out. But to me, neither side looks on top of their game by any stretch of the imagination.
Jordan Clark tries to pull off a really tough kick, which was intended for Sarong. Another turnover by the Dockers. Melbourne going forward. Luke Ryan front spot. Petrarca read it best from 55. Petrarca sets sail for home and misses. Another behind for Melbourne. 0-3. Plays 0-1. 8.5 gone. Here for Maccas. Their delicious new Biscoff Rangers. Even more reason for a Maccas run.
Yeah, what have we had, Jimmy? 5 shots at goal and not one goal kicked by full-time AFL players. You know, it does make you wonder a little bit. That was a toughish shot, and so was Amos. But, I just think that the players haven't quite settled. There's a step up in pressure from training and the game simulation they've been doing, and they're not handling it at the moment.
Back into play on the wing. Jackson opposed to Gawn. On the deck, emerging with it is Oliver, who sends it about 80 metres up inside 50. Melbourne player was pushed over, no free. Clark involved. Sloppy little handball. Ryan got around 2 of them. Fremantle trying to go up the corridor. Salem and Brayshaw collided. Here's Salem, usually good on the left boot, but missing to the left-hand side. Geez, they've had some looks here, the Ds. They are now, are they 0-5?
0-4, I think.
0-4.
Yeah, I think that's right. It was good play by Salem, playing at half-back, pushed up, put the pressure on Fremantle coming out of defence. I thought he waited the kick beautifully and the breeze was going to take it through, but breeze didn't help him at all.
Nice little mark taken by Howes. Just backward of half forward for the Ds, who are content on just settling things down. 4 plays 1, 10 gone opening quarter. Gawn, the target, takes the mark from the Adams kick. Too far out to score here. Again, every single Fremantle player is in Melbourne's front half. So Gawn goes wide with the kick. Wins are now under some pressure because Frederick is quick. Came across, just got a handball away in the nick of time. Sharp out there. In fact, it might be Ryan who's tackled. And he's pinned for holding the football.
Yeah, Gawn started really well, and I love him as a player, and his leadership's fantastic. But God knows why you would kick the ball out there, in all seriousness, Jimmy. He was, in the corridor, kicked it out wide. There was going to be no gain at all.
Special comments this afternoon from WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos. Horrible turnover by Melbourne on the wing, and the Dockers look up and don't see much. Bolton gathers, tries to get over Petrarca. Inside 50, 1-on-1, Amos versus May. May does well to track the football back to the square and cleverly handballs it into the goalposts for a minor score. Fremantle 0-2. Melbourne 0-4, 11 gone. Opening quarter.
Soccer scoreline.
Very much so.
Yeah, I think May was a little bit worried about rushing it through, but Amos was right on his tail, so there was no drama there. And Melbourne, slow build-up again from defence. I suppose I've got to give credit to both teams for defending really well, Jimmy. They're making it hard for the opposition to get any free players, and the players with the ball are often under pressure. So credit there for the defensive aspects, but a few missed opportunities, in my opinion, that, if these teams are going to really challenge, they'll need to take.
Boundary throw in between wing and half forward. The only real one we probably would have had in both of our books was the Bailey Fritsch set shot from 30 out on a very minimal angle. Was the Dockers here trying to find the first major of the afternoon. Sharp to the goal line, across the face. Tracy got hands to it, but couldn't quite get it in one clean action, and it's another minor score. Fremantle 3 behinds, Melbourne 4 behinds, 12 gone opening quarter.
Yes, Fremantle haven't had a really clean shot at goal, that's for sure. All their shots have been under some pressure, and Melbourne have had 2 set shots, but once again, Melbourne chipping the ball around, waiting for something to open up. Fremantle defending, all 18 players behind the ball at the moment.
Howes has it at half back for the Ds. Pokes it over to the wing. Mark taken by Rivers out there with some zinc on his nose. Good to see him being sun smart today because it is warm out there. Christian Petrarca has had a solid start to this game, and Christian Salem has it on his defensive 50. Not 15. They've been red hot on that in the pre-season so far, the umpires.
Yes, that and
all
tackling.
fanned out to Jed Adams.
I think the players are getting awarded for the tackles a little bit quicker than they were last year, which I think is good.
Stephen May and Jake Lever. Melbourne just happy to retain possession of the footy. 4 behinds plays 3 behinds. Clayton Oliver, good to see him looking fit and healthy.
He does.
After a season last year shrouded in some controversy, especially early, as 4 Dockers fly for the footy. Billings cleans it up for the D's. Flicked over, little 1-2. Billings kept on going. Inside 50, Ryan chops it off. And wasn't paid the mark for the Dockers. He actually spilt it at the last moment, but has some troops come over to help him as... big mark taken. Josh Tracy put a foot into the back of Clayton Oliver. Nice to see Josh Tracy clunking them early. It might be pre-season, but that was a beauty. And he's involved again here on the edge of the wing. The Dockers now building up. They won't have Tracy to kick it to, though. Sharp, indecisive, pulls his kick. Brayshaw nearly collided with Reedy. Here's a clever little handball which came to Brayshaw from Murphy Reid. And Sonny Walters, finally we see a major. It comes from the Fremantle veteran at the 14.5-minute mark of the first quarter. Fremantle 139, Melbourne 044 on the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. Here's Steve Malaxos.
Yeah, clever finish by Michael Walters. Been the hallmark of his career. When he gets the ball inside 50, he's quite deadly, either shooting for goal or setting up another player. He kicked it along the ground, which was pretty clever. I wouldn't be teaching kids to do it, but he pulled it off really well. Great mark by Tracy. And, yeah, Fremantle 139, Melbourne 4 points. On play, Melbourne should be a couple of goals ahead, and sounding like a little of a stuck record. It's been an issue for Melbourne for a couple of years. Conversion, not just shots at goal, but the amount of times they get the ball inside 50 for the return is really low. Interesting, the leading possession getter on the field is May. May and Clark.
Playing kick-to-kick in their defensive 50 as Caleb Sarong 360s himself out of the middle, up to a one-on-one. Howes versus Walters, who just kicked the opening goal of the match. Salem at half-back, under some pressure. Bolton getting involved. Giving chase here is Walters. Out to the wing. Ryan came up to spoil it. Comes down to Sharp. Then back to Ryan. Here's Murphy Reid for the Dockers. In against the boundary line. Poking kick into the pocket for Walters is knocked out of play by Adams. Boundary throw in. 45 out from the Dockers goal.
Yes. Melbourne struggling at times to move the ball from defence, aren't they? Fremantle defending, the Melbourne rebound 50 or transition as they call it now really well.
Johnson put his head over the football, 48 metres out from the Fremantle goal here. O'Meara got around one, outside of the right boot, shot on goal. Tracy and Mayra on the goal line. Neither could mark it. It's over for a minus score. Fremantle 1-4-10. The D's 0-4-4. Nearly 17 gone. Opening quarter in perfect conditions for football here in WA.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Jimmy. Look, both teams are defending well. Not just their defenders, but through the midfield area. There's very few midfielders that are free to get the ball from their defenders coming out to really open play up and move it quickly. That's making it hard, but really the skill level is a bit off in my opinion.
Here come the D's on the wing, working it by hand. Chip little kick comes to Sparrow. Now Billings can settle, runs to 48, shot on goal, misses everything. Was under some pressure with a late dive from a Docker.
He was, but seriously, out on the full, Jimmy. 40 out, you know. And interesting, Melbourne, most of their shots have gone to the right. and that's where the Breeze is taking it. They've been unable to adjust so far.
Chapman has it in the back pocket for Fremantle. Long drop punt up the wing. Jackson the target. Landed heavy on his back, but he's okay. Petrarca has been prominent. Rivers now received the handball up to left half forward. Viney takes the mark on his chest. Patiently waits for a couple of teammates to present and decides to bomb it to the square. Down there, Van Rooyen. Ball comes to ground. Here's Murphy Reid on hands and knees getting down and dirty. Langdon. Quick little handball out for Salem, who might have had his kick smothered on the attempt on goal. Again to the right-hand side, where the majority, if not all, of Melbourne's five behinds have gone to.
Every one of them. Every one of them.
So they have not adjusted for that breeze to the northern end of the ground here at Mandra's Rushton Park. Luke Ryan bombs it. Walters came in from the side. There's a free kick for a hold going the way of Fremantle. Want to play on quickly. They have a wave running through the middle here. Murphy Reid couldn't quite gather the handball. Demons pounce on it. Turnover. Billings inside 50. All by himself. Fritsch at the back. The ball just wouldn't sit up for him. And the kick didn't quite do him any favours. It rolls out of play. Ball in, right forward pocket for Melbourne, who trail Fremantle by 5 points.
Yeah, and a lot of Melbourne's attacks have been on that right-hand side where the wind, I think, is forcing or pushing them that way. Melbourne have not been able to adjust. They should be trying to get the ball more over this side of the field. I don't know if they've been told to do that or not. Anyhow, they've got a free kick here. This is their chance, Jimmy.
It is going to be a free to Clayton Oliver in the right forward pocket. Was that for holding the ball? Yeah, the umps have got a little bit, or not a little bit, they have made it quicker to reward the tackler in pre-season. Was, evident even in a practice match intra-club a couple of weeks ago. I watched the West Coast. Very strict on it. Probably a little bit over the top in that game, but they are rewarding the tackler a bit more so far. A tight angle here for Melbourne star Clayton Oliver, right forward pocket. Slow approach. Drop punt on the way. And finally, the D's have found the big sticks. Clayton Oliver gets the D's first of the afternoon in Mandurah. It comes 20 and a half minutes into the first quarter. 1-5. The D's lead Fremantle 1-4-10. That's on our scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buy, save on Falcon Tyres.
Yeah, good finish by Oliver. Just a couple of steps, wasn't it, with the set shot? I haven't seen that style from him before. But obviously good tackle, got rewarded, and he did start the game out of the centre square. In this particular bounce now, he's going into the centre square, and looks like a bit of a rotation. Viney now in the forward line. Not quite like that manoeuvre from Simon Goodwin, keeping Oliver and Viney on the field, in the forward line rather than, midfield and then bench. It's quite good. But on play, I think Melbourne deserve to be in front, if there's such a thing. So good reward for the Demons.
WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos alongside me, Jimmy Williams, for the call down in Mandurah. Here in Western Australia, it is a beautiful Perth afternoon, not a cloud in the sky. 1-5, the D's play Fremantle 1-4-10. Long bomb by Oliver to the top of the 50, cut off by Jordan Clark.
Yeah, well done, Clark. But Rivers had to go for that. I mean, who else did he think was going to go for that ball? Got to make a contest there.
Fremantle move it to the outer side wing here. Wagner had a peek over his shoulder, found a short target in Sharp on the Hayden Ballantyne wing. Inboard now for Chapman. Now Melbourne put their numbers behind the football. Yeah. Chapman looked up and had no idea what to do.
18 Melbourne players in their back half.
He just bombs it to a hot spot. Tracy's usually a pretty good option. Crashed the pack, didn't get his hands quite to it. Bowie kicked and pushed as he did so. Wagner intercepts. Probably just on his range here. Corey Wagner, he's on the edge of the centre square. If he was running, you'd maybe give him a chance at doing it. He hasn't kicked a goal for Fremantle in his career there after stints at both North and Melbourne. He goes to the square. Tracy knee into the back of Gawn. It comes over to the back where May gathers and gets. Gawn is still down on his haunches. We'll keep an eye on that. Tracy hasn't been afraid to do that 3 or 4 times so far this afternoon.
Well, it was an intentional kick by Wagner to put it on top of Gawn's head, so to speak. Gawn was in the hole, the holers, so to speak, where the ruckman sits in a bit of space, and Tracy just launched at Gawn, and he's going to let people know if you want to sit there, you're going to get a knee in the back.
Nothing wrong with that. It's all in the rules as Brayshaw's tackled in a big one by Jack Viney, holding the football. Free kick going to the former D's captain at left half back.
Yeah, Tracy's, has he improved his leap or he's just going for it more, Jimmy? But a couple of really powerful jumps at the footy.
Turner underneath the football with Brennan Cox there. Off hands, boundary throw-in. Just forward of the interchange gates in Melbourne's half. 11 plays 10, 23, approaching 24 minutes gone in the first term. Great, healthy crowd here in Mandurah for the final game of the AFL's Community Series. Big tackle laid on Andy Brayshaw. And we'll get a ball up between wing and half forward here for the D's. A 1-point advantage. Jackson opposed to Gawn, who tapped it to Petrarca. Quick little kick up to left half forward. Chapman went early, couldn't quite bring it down. Over to help his O'Meara. The Dockers by hand at half back. Sarong back to Walker. Chapman about to be caught by Viney. Just got his handball away. Right in the nick of time. Walker did well to somehow get out of the grasp of a couple of D's players. Bolton in a ton of space on the wing. Looping handball over for Tracy. Has a couple of options into the pocket. Turns it over momentarily, actually, because May dropped the mark. Johnson was the target. And it's over for a ball in right forward pocket for Freo.
Yes, Tracy would look, well, if he had his time again, he'd be hoping to do a bit more with the kick. He was looking for Amos, but he needed to just chip it a bit in the air. He went to spear it and gave May a pretty easy intercept.
Front spot for Gawn. Witkowski first there for Fremantle. Bowie in the back pocket pokes it for Windsor. The D's can just settle down. They have a 1-point lead, 11-10. A very inaccurate opening quarter here on AFL Nation, despite pristine Perth conditions, or Mandurah, in fact.
Yes.
So it's a warm 29 degrees. As Blake Howes has it in the back pocket for the D's.
May's up to 11 possessions, Jimmy. He's a leading possession getter. He's been in everything, really. He hasn't just had cheap kicks. He's intercepted well. He's played a great game so far, not just because he's had the most possessions.
Chandler and Wagner, smart by Chandler to push him out of the way. The grubber kick wasn't as good. Fremantle turned the heat up. Ryan, so composed as Sharp goes back to Ryan, who's immediately wrapped up by Chandler. Footy going nowhere. Ball up about half a metre from the boundary line. On the opposite side, wing to our commentary position here this afternoon. Jackson taken in a tackle, got his handball away. 3 Dockers converged on it, but luck's of fortune for Christian Petrarca, who does pretty well to make his own most of the time. Gawn received the handball, punches it inside 50. Davies couldn't quite hang on to the mark, got a good set of mitts to it, but it just popped out at the pivotal moment. Fritsch lays a tackle on him while he's on his backside. It's going nowhere. Ball up, 40 out from the D's goal.
Yeah, Melbourne just crying out for just a couple of strong marks inside their forward 50. A couple of pack marks. They haven't taken one of those so far in the first quarter. Gee, would make a difference to them if a couple of their bigger forwards started clunking some contested marks.
Murphy-Reid, spin out of danger. Oliver came over to apply pressure. Fremantle escaped with the football. Johnson had a bounce, flicked it up to Sarong. In all kinds of space, Witkowski marks, looks up, goes long in search of Sonny Walters. Used the body, didn't quite read the drop of the football. It bounces over and out of play for a boundary throw-in the right forward pocket. Fremantle a chance here at 1-4-10 to level or better Melbourne's 1-5-11.
Yeah, really good bit of play by Fremantle. It's happened a couple of times where they've moved the ball from defensive 50 untouched and quickly. That's when they look really good.
Spinning back into play, Gawn opposed to, here's Bolton. Just a glimpse of what this man is going to do in 2025. He shook off a tackle, dumped it on the left boot and snapped it through right on the quarter-time buzzer. Shea Bolton is going to be an excitement machine for Fremantle. At quarter-time, 2-4-16, the Dockers lead Melbourne 1-5-11. We do it all for Maccas. Their fiery new spicy chicken McWrap is here. Bolton brilliance. It was,
Jimmy, and that was an unmissable moment. If you're a Melbourne supporter or Melbourne coaching staff, you would not be happy to cough up a goal right on the death from a stoppage, but very classy play by Bolton. Shook off his opponent and at a stoppage took the ball and evaded a player, and you could just tell he was going to score that goal. He steadied, balanced and goal. And Fremantle lead 2-4 to 1-5. On play, I reckon Melbourne are a bit unders, Jimmy, but that's... I've said it a few times, that's been the story of their seasons in the last few years. Not as much last year, but leading up. And on the evidence so far, it doesn't look like they've been able to eradicate it. They're really crying out for some just strong contested marks in the forward line. Mind you, they've had a few shots, but just don't look like taking a big mark, do they, in their forward 50? No, it has been their issue for the past period of time following their premiership win here in Perth. Interesting to see Christian Salem and Ed Langton run down into the Melbourne rooms. I'm not sure whether that's a hydration thing or maybe a change of boots. But they have ducked down to their change room to try and better themselves, no doubt. Maybe in this hot weather, they might have drunken too much water. Who knows? But we're here for Maccas. I'll get this one right this time, Steve. Yeah. The fiery new spicy chicken McWrap is here. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with the second quarter from Mandurah right after this.
That quarter on AFL Nation was for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. Save on Falcon tyres. Now down to the post-Mac press conference with Lions coach Chris Fagan.
Chris, tell us how the Happy Meal went tonight.
My grandson didn't get a Brisbane bear tip this time, so we better collect all 18.
The AFL Happy Meal is here. The season starts at Macca's. T's and C's apply.
The footy, it's here, it's happening, and the footy back sale is on now at Tyre Power. This footy season, your number one destination on Google Maps for tyre safety is Tyre Power, because when it comes to tyres, place your family in safe hands and go with the premiership team, Tyre Power. During the footy's back sale, buy 3, get 1 free on Kumo passenger, SUV and 4-wheel drive tyres. Find your Aussie-owned local independent Tyre Power dealer at tyrepower.com.au.
Get the power!
Trying to choose new flooring, window furnishings or rugs for your home? Choices Flooring's Room View makes it easy to find the look you've been searching for. Whatever the space or your flooring needs, simply take a photo of the area in your home and select your flooring styles, window furnishings or rugs from the thousands of colours, styles and texture options. Using Choices Flooring's Room View, you can see your selections right in your own home. Then send your favourites to your local Choices Flooring store to book a free measure and quote.
Desire is more than choosing the perfect car colour or how you look behind the wheel. It's driving an SUV that's filled with desirable features that make perfect sense. Offered in hybrid, plug-in hybrid or petrol, the Lexus NX marries outstanding performance, connected technology and refined comfort. You can explore the range and book your test drive now at Lexus of Brighton, 99 Nepean Highway. LMCT 9897.
If I asked you to go outside now, grab a shovel and hack through your internet or water connection, would you do it? Of course not. It'd cost you a fortune to fix, plus being without internet or water for hours or days would drive you mad. Yet digging without searching before you dig online first is a gamble. Or worse, if you strike a gas or electricity main. Before every job, search before you dig online every time. And never dig blind.
A new year means a reset of your health fund benefits. So why not start 2025 with a healthy smile? At Maven Dental, we can help you maximise your health fund coverage, whether it's a routine checkup, fillings, cleaning, or finally completing those outstanding treatments you've been putting off. Your smile deserves the best care. So reset, refresh, renew with Maven Dental. Book your appointment today. Visit mavendental.com.au to find a clinic near you.
Whenever we get stuck and need quality timber or decking real quick on site, we turn to the robot.
Robot's got it.
Robot Building Supplies always helps us get the job done.
You can rely on Robot Building Supplies day in, day out. Right now, 90 by 35 MGP 10 pine is only $4.72 per metre. Discount for quantity. Robot's been in the building game for over 70 years.
They've seen it all and know it all.
Robot Building Supplies, Notting Hill, Sunshine, Preston, Dramana, Pakenham, Coldstream and Darnham.
ROBOT Robot Building Supplies.
Get ready to shine at Queensland's 2025 Jewel Race Day. On March 8, the $2 million Queensland Jewel Race Day returns to the Gold Coast Turf Club, headlined by the $500,000 2 and 3-year-old cutest Jewel. It's one of the premier horse racing events for Queensland bred horses, featuring the Sunshine State's finest homegrown thoroughbreds and jockeys competing for over $2 million in prize money. Witness these stars at the turf in our own backyard. More info at racingqueensland.com.au.
Go on a Macca's run, pick up the mouth-watering new spicy chicken McWrap and get all fired up for another week at work. But not too fired up. That would be unprofessional. Available 10:30 a.m. to midnight.
You're listening to the 2025 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation. The Macca's fiery new spicy chicken McWrap is here.
Great to have your company from Mandurah in the south of Western Australia for the final game of the AFL's Community Series for 2025. Jimmy Williams on the call with WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos. It's a warm afternoon, Steve, but we've already seen a little bit of Shea Bolton brilliance on the buzzer for the Dockers. They lead 2-4-16 to 1-5-11 at quarter time.
It was, Jimmy, and Fremantle, I shouldn't say fortunate to be in the league because the scoreboard represents what you've done, but Melbourne, in most areas, I think were on top, but they were just unable to convert from the 15 inside 50s they've had for one goal, so that's not going to get you too far. Dockers have had 11 inside 50s. Melbourne had a few shots, toughish sort of shots. Fritz, not an easy one. Nothing's ever easy, but 35 out 10 in front. He's usually a really good kick. They're crying out for a couple of contested marks in the forward 50. They haven't looked like taking one. The Fremantle defence has held up really well. The better players, May's a leading possession getter with 12, but I feel he's also defended well. A couple of really good spoils rushing through for a point. I think Gawn's been on top in the ruck. Around the ground's had a lot more hit-outs. Has done some good work around the ground. Petrarca looks in pretty good shape, Jimmy. Salem's game's been pretty good. Sparrow started well. And for Fremantle, I thought Sharp did some good things. Ryan's been solid on the wing. I haven't mind Chapman's game, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I think O'Mara's been pretty handy on the wing as well.
So the AFL app has Jacob Van Rooyen down injured, so that's a big blow for the D's. Looks like he hasn't started this second term, and so we'll see a little bit of Aiden Johnson up forward for Melbourne, but he's the one really.
Just some young,
They want to make sure he's right for this season. Maybe
that's what they're doing, They've got a couple of young boys, Johnson and Daniel Turner. Mm-hmm. Look, I mean, the other way to look at it, it's tough from the other way. If they can take a couple of marks, they can get themselves in this team, So good opportunity for them.
Here you go, Melbourne at half forward. Rivers turned it over, though. Sarong links up from half back with Cox. A little 1-2. Now drives a drop punt to a 2-on-1. Amos didn't really have much of a chance there. He might have won himself a free kick. No, it's come off hands and gone out for a boundary throw. And they all ran away from the contest, Steve Malaxos. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Lever came across off his player and spoiled the ball. And he's punched that about 40 metres, Jimmy. Connected beautifully with a spoil.
He's had the most possessions on the ground so far, so he's obviously seeing the football well this afternoon. Steve May as Sparrow up against the boundary line, intercepted by Brayshaw, who's tried to fend off Lang, then won himself a free kick, Andy Brayshaw. the co-captain of the Dockers. Here's Murphy Reid. Dark bluish headband on this afternoon. Not sure if... We'll have to wait and see if that one's ticked off by the AFL for round one officially. We saw the same thing for Bailey Smith in their pre-season game for the Cats. Oh, turnover. Jackson says, thank you very much. Drop punt through the middle of the goals. Well, you like to get those ones out the way in the pre-season if you're a Melbourne defender. And Luke Jackson receives an absolute gift. Fremantle 3-4-22. Melbourne 1-5-11. Opening couple of minutes of the second quarter on the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys.
Horrible turnover. Melbourne player, is it?
I think it might have been Viney.
Viney running out of defensive 50 and try to draw the Freo player, but the Freo player read it like a book, intercepted. It was Jackson and marched into an easy goal. Freo I don't think have been shooting the lights out with how they've been playing. I think they've been pretty solid. But all of a sudden they find themselves 11 points up just from, one great bit of play by Bolton and a terrible mistake.
Footy back in the middle. Jackson overgone. Ball on the deck. Brayshaw trying to get involved. Spin out of trouble by Jackson. Couldn't get a kick away. Free kick being paid here, going the way of Fremantle. Bowie is bemused, and Luke Jackson, for the second time in as many minutes, finds himself with the footy in his hands.
Certainly started the quarter well.
Drop punt to the hot spot. Tracy had a fair piece of it, couldn't. Hang on. Ball hits the deck. Tracy goes again. Handball comes out. Tracy goes a third time, tackled by May in the forward pocket. Ball up, about 35 out from the Dockers' goal. 22 plays 11. It's a back issue for Jacob Van Rooyen.
Maybe
precautionary.
Well, you would hope so for Melbourne's sake. Be hard to see him kicking a big score. A couple of young, tall forwards, pretty unproven.
Bolton.
Pickett's not on the field. I should mention that as well. He's one of their better forwards. He hasn't been on the field yet. So, all's not lost if you're a Melbourne supporter as far as scoring goes. Van Rooyen's not playing. Pickett hasn't been on the field. But only one goal so far is not a good sign, considering that has been a weakness in their play.
How hard is it to balance that, Steve Malaxos? You've got the one real... Melbourne played North Melbourne in an organised game, so this is their second hit out of the pre-season. But with opening round beginning next weekend, I don't know...
Melbourne playing a couple of weeks.
How do you juggle that? But you want your guys to get a proper run at it in some level, don't you?
Absolutely. I think basically, with only the one proper game, practice match, so to speak, I think, here we go, Viney
trying to make amends for the error at the other end. Pops it up to the hot spot. Nice mark taken down there by Aidan Johnson. Showed a clean pair of hands and a nicely timed leap. 24 years of age from Werribee. He's 20 metres out directly in front.
Should kick this. It was good play by Viney. He kicked on his non-preferred, by the way. Just chipped it 30 metres into the middle to the advantage of Johnson. Gave Johnson every opportunity to mark, which he did do.
And he's going to get plenty of them this afternoon. Aidan Johnson, he misses to the right-hand side with Jacob Van Rooyen out with a back complaint. Chance for him to stake his claim for round one for the D's.
Well, he kicked the drop punt beautifully, but it was straight right, not straight middle.
Here come the Dockers quickly trying to get to the other end. Sharp intended for Amos.
Yeah.
Haven't seen too much of Jai Amos involved this afternoon. We've seen Josh Tracy putting knees and legs into the back of people, all legally, of course.
Yeah, he's been busy, Tracy. May's held Amos pretty well. Amos had a shot for goal earlier, but apart from that, May's had clearly had the call in that duel.
Jacob Van Rooyen will not be returning this afternoon with some back spasms, is the word from the Melbourne camp, as they go forward in search of that man again in Johnson. It's a free kick to the Dockers
in response to your question, Jimmy, I think if you're fit and available, you'd want to be playing in this game in preparation. You wouldn't want to go into round one not having played a full-scale practice match, I wouldn't have thought. But if you're injured and you can't do it, obviously you've got to sit out. And I think clubs have... they might manage guys towards the end of this game, Jimmy, I think. But I think up till three-quarter time, they'll be going pretty hard.
Well, the interesting point about that, I suppose, is we haven't seen Cozzy Pickett, who's still got the training top on, clearly going to be managed through this game. As we see the ball tossed in at right half forward for the Dockers. Sharp gathered, inside 50. Down to meet it is Jackson. It slipped through his grasp. Howes lays the pressure. Here's Amos. Left foot snap from a tight position. He screwed it around the face. A little too hard for a minus score. Fremantle moved to 3-6-24. Melbourne 1-6-12. 7 gone. Second quarter for Maccas. The fiery new spicy chicken McWrap is here.
Yes, Amos... May's had the call and Amos has had 2 shots, both running shots and quite difficult. I think Walters wanted that ball from Amos, by the way. I think Sonny wasn't too happy that Amos had the shot and didn't handball it to him. But Fremantle certainly doing more of the attacking this quarter, Jimmy.
Wagner sends them back inside 50. Tracy the target, front spot. Couldn't hang on to the footy though. Comes to ground. Walters trying to keep it alive, but just ran out of real estate. Boundary throw in. Right forward pocket. Here from Mandurah's Rushton Park, where there is not a cloud in the sky for the final game of the AFL's Community Series. It has been an interesting one at that, because we've seen so many stars of the game, Steve, go down with injuries. Errol Goulden out for a couple of months with an ankle. Marcus Bontempelli hurt his calf. And Mitch Owens, the young Saint, who hurt his shoulder playing in that loss to Port Adelaide last night. Let's hope, touch wood, that all players today get through fit and healthy for opening round and round 1 as the ball's knocked out of play.
True, Jimmy, true. But there's probably going to be 1 or 2 injuries, isn't there?
Well, we've already seen Van Roy.
Yeah, out of 40 guys playing a game of footy, hard physical game, I'd be surprised if there's not 1 or 2. But these guys... I've got a couple of weeks to get over it. They're not in the round 0 game or ground. What is that? What it's called? Round 0.
Well, it depends who you ask, Steve Malaxos. Some people go with opening round. Others go with round 0. I think most people in
Opening
Clubland call it round 0, which is interesting. The AFL call it opening round.
Well, we'll run with that.
We will speak about Thursday's opener a little bit later on, because it looks like the weather is quite nasty. I'm not sure what they're going to do. We'll talk about that later, as Bolton from 51 metres to the goal line. Tracy pulled off it legally. He's escaped one there. They're still under the pump. Bolton's been brilliant for Fremantle. Footy intercepted. Snap on goal comes, and it's a miss. Jai Amos a couple of times this afternoon has found himself in that position, but can't find the big sticks.
Tracy's been really busy, and I've loved his involvement, but I reckon he's dropped at least 3 marks where he's got 2 hands to it, Jimmy. And you know, his work rate's been good. He's made good position, but he's definitely dropped a couple of marks, or more than a couple. I reckon he's definitely dropped 3 where he's got 2 hands to it. Took a ripper, of course. Work rate's been really good. Needs to hang on to those marks.
Liam Reedy for the Dockers in search of Jackson, knocked away by Bowie in the forward pocket. Walters handballed it up to no one in particular. O'Meara involved, but he couldn't gather. Lever just shins it up to halfback. Oliver stopped and propped and then got a handball to Billings, who bombed it long and high to the wing. Standing underneath it, Turner takes the chest mark. Opposed to Davies, and he looked up and didn't have much to kick to. D's trail by 13. 25 plays 12 here. Walters gave chase, and Turner's hurry kick was an inside-out torpedo. Luke Ryan says thank you very much. Caleb Sarong in the middle of Rushton Park. Little handball over to Sharp, and now Wagner provides some run from half-back for Fremantle. Up to half-forward. Horrible kick. Intercepted by Stephen May.
Gee, you read that well, May. He left Amos 30 or 40 metres behind him, backed himself to read the play and intercept, which he did do.
Johnson and the D's on the counter-attack. Fritsch marks it left half forward into the pocket. Petrarca should go back and have a shot. Wants to play on. Saw a man in his teammate in Jack Billings, who was across the other side of goal, and he marks 35 out, slide angle, right forward pocket, Jack Billings.
Well, really good skills from Melbourne. Firstly, from May, nice kick by Petrarca to hit Billings here. He was in a slightly better position, Petrarca, with a shot. Petrarca looks pretty sharp, by the way. A good kick as well by Fritz. So good skills there by Melbourne. Probably their best skill passage for the game.
Billings comes in, left foot kick on the way. He misses to the near side. Melbourne, 1-7-13. Fremantle, 3-7-25. 12 gone, second quarter on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Big brands, better buys. They don't have their kicking boots on today. The D's.
No, I think Jack Billings has had 3 shots at goal. He's been busy, but if you're a small forward, you need to be lethal in front of goal. Not just quite good, you need to be lethal, and that's something that he'll look to improve for sure. But he's been playing a while now, and if he really wants to cement his spot in this team, he's got to finish better than he has. Even though he's done some good things outside of that.
Ball on the wing, Cox underneath it for the Dockers. Spent a long time waiting for it and took the chest mark just under the scoreboard here, which has Fremantle 3-8-26 leading Melbourne 1-7-13. Their only goal kicker is their star mid, Clayton Oliver.
That's better, Tracy. 2 hands, clunked that one.
Building himself into the game here. The boy from Kahuna sends the Dockers inside 50. An early leap came from Reedy. Off hands for a minus score for the Dockers. 3-9-27. Plays Melbourne 1-7-13. 13 gone. On the Tyre Power, big brands, better buys, save on Falcon Tyres scoreboard. Jimmy Williams and Steve Malaxos with you. Lovely afternoon at Rushton Park down in Mandurah.
Yeah, the game's been quite high pressure.
Risky kick, and Caleb Sarong came in from the side. Clever mark. He had to turn his back momentarily and almost took it one-handed as he spun through the air. He marks 45 out directly in front, the Freo co-vice captain.
Yes, in the right place. Read the potential intercept. Some players are just good at that. They read the cues from the kicker in May, and Sarong, quite an easy intercept. He's 40 out, directly in front. There is a little bit of a breeze. Well, it's dropped this quarter, pushing the ball across.
Could have got a little closer to the man on the mark, but didn't need to. Caleb Sarong shows everyone how to do it in what has been a pretty inaccurate afternoon so far. Sarong finds the big sticks. 4-9-33. Plays Melbourne 1-7-13. 14 and a half gone. Second quarter here on AFL Nation. Here's Steve Malaxos.
Well, it's been a pretty ordinary quarter by Melbourne, Jimmy. What is it, 1 point they've scored or 2 points? 2 horrible errors in the D50, which just about, you'd say, have gifted Fremantle goals. So it hasn't been a good quarter by them. I thought they were on top in the first quarter, and to me they looked pretty sharp. Didn't get the score on the board, but this quarter has been pretty poor by them, I reckon. Fremantle, solid, just doing what they have to a certain extent, taking advantage of Melbourne errors, and consequently got a handy 20-point lead without doing anything absolutely brilliant or earth-shattering, Jimmy.
As Petrarca emerges with the football for the D's inside 50, over the head of 3 sets of players. Davies goes back for Walker. Handball at the feet of Cox, who's under the pump, turns it over. Billings on the right side for a left footer, sends the D's back to the top of the 50 where Clayton Oliver marks. Maybe just a little bit too far out of his range.
I think he is.
He had Bowie riding shotgun. Oliver content to just set it up to the hot spot. Turner was down there. No real fly from either of the D's forwards. Walters back lends a hand. Jackson darts his way out of danger. Clark at the feet of Walters. It beat him. Invites the D's back in. A trip going to be a free kick here for the D's. And Walters is just saying, I think, a little bit of a sorry to the umpire and to Cade Chandler.
Yeah, Remember that period he went through when you got trips, you used to get reported automatically?
They might have a look at that, Steve Malaxos, that one. I know it wasn't... I don't know.
Unlucky.
There wasn't any malice in it, was it? It looked like they just tied their the bottom of their legs up in an accident more than anything. As the D's go forward, Jackson, a big fly, gone in a dangerous spot. Handball was intercepted momentarily by O'Driscoll, who couldn't hang on. Viney ducked one. Second one came as O'Driscoll laid a tackle. Windsor all by himself out. 45 out from goal is Harry Sharp. Now, I love the look of this young man. Ex-Lion, didn't really get a crack at Brisbane. He had 16 games across a few years there, but it was a hard team to crack into, especially given that they just won the premiership.
Yeah.
He's 45 out at left half forward.
Yes, and excellent composure and decision-making by Windsor, was it?
Yep.
Jimmy, he's been quite promising this quarter. He had a good year last year in his first year.
Sharp will kick from about 48 metres out. The former Lion sends it on its way and he hits the stick. They let me say this, Steve. It's lucky that they're getting this bad one out of the way in the pre-season.
That's one way to look at it, yes. Hitting the post, I can't be too critical of him. Reasonable shot. Well, he wasn't dead in front, so no, I won't have a hit at him for that one. It was good play by Melbourne, though.
1 goal, 8-14. Melbourne trail Fremantle 49-33. Jackson gets to work on a couple of Ds. It spills out the back for Harvey Langford. Inside 50, Viney sat underneath it. Clark knocked it away from him. Brayshaw, composed, turns it over. Billings, right foot kick into the pocket. Gawn has to give chase. Won't get there before it trickles out of play. Boundary throw in. Just underneath our commentary position here at Mandarin's Rushton Park. It'll land 45 out for the Ds.
Well, I think Max Gawn must have zinc on his head, Jimmy. I thought he was looking like the Pope there for a bit with the white skull cap, wasn't it? Is that zinc or just paint or something?
It's either zinc or sun cream, I reckon.
Yeah.
I reckon it is probably hotter than we think it is out there.
Well, he is bald on top. I reckon he's whacked some zinc on it. He's worked hard, Max.
He's being sun smart.
Yeah.
We love that from
Harvey Langford, pick 6 in the draft, so promising young player from Dandenong's Stingrays. Be a thumping goal. He's going to kick from just outside 50. Be a really good goal.
His teammates haven't had much luck, so he sends it on its way. It's not going to quite get the journey on the goal line. Solid effort down there. Almost kicking it mid-air was Turner. And it's gone through for a minor score. Melbourne are now 1-9.
That was nearly a freakish goal, wasn't it? He was in a pack and took it from hand to foot in a pack. Would have been freakish.
1-9-15 the Ds to Fremantle's 4-9-33. Nice mark taken on the second attempt by Brennan Cox, just backward of the wing for the Dockers. 19.5 gone second quarter. That scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. Fremantle look to move it with speed through the middle as O'Driscoll toward the hot spot, and the mark is taken down there by Shea Bolton, who will line up for his first set shot in Dockers colours. We've already seen his brilliance from the stoppage. These are the ones that if he kicks this year, Steve Malaxos, he could be in for a massive 2025.
He's a talented player. If he's fit and available, he should have a good year. I think the Fremantle style will suit him. I think Optus, the home ground, will suit him. So he's going to be a handful.
From 15 metres out, he comes in and he punches it directly through the middle. Shea Bolton's got his second, and Fremantle are well in control of this pre-season game here in Mandurah. 5-9-39 plays Melbourne 1-9-15. A couple of goals for, you said it in the pre-game, our unmissable moment for Drinkwise. Choose to Drinkwise. Shea Bolton settling in just nicely.
Yes, and he's kicked 2 and Walters 1, so the small forwards having an impact. Nice play by Freo. O'Driscoll opened the game up nicely, didn't he? He cutting through the middle on his left foot. I was really impressed with him during last year's Waffle Finals, Jimmy. I thought the Waffle Finals really helped him as a footballer by playing in those. He played in the midfield and he missed a lot of footy, and doesn't always gel with a player to play in the Waffle Finals, but I reckon it really helped him.
And he's starting at Fremantle's centre bounce as well, which is a big tick for the progression of his career in Nathan O'Driscoll, as Wagner's caught, tried to fend off a second tackler, holding the ball, free kick D's at half forward. Langdon a little bit sore as he gets up from that contest, but he's going to take his kick. He just waited and then popped it to the hot spot. Fritsch is down the edge, his opponent underneath it, and it's going to be a free kick to Fremantle. We've seen this a couple of times, more than a couple in the pre-season, where players are being caught behind and pushing their opponent almost into bodies as opposed to out of the way.
You know, Jimmy, I read it today, thinking about it. I can never remember seeing that often. I don't know why it's come in. I'd be alarmed if it's getting taught, or maybe it is. Push your opponent in the pack and you're free. Personally, I think it should be reportable. I think it's dangerous play.
I think it's very dangerous. I think it's only a matter of time before someone gets even worse injured than we saw Richmond youngster Sam Waller.
There's no reason to push a player into a marking contest. If you're out of position, get yourself, in a better position, or try to. But I think it's a reportable offence.
We might talk about that a little bit later on, because it is an interesting talking point. And David King was very strong on it on SEN.
What does he think?
The past 24 hours, he thinks the AFL needs to act and act quickly.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
For sure.
As Brayshaw goes to right half forward, Walters just waited for the footy to set up for him. It didn't, but he showed some fancy hands and fancy footwork. And the left foot snap from Sonny Walters. A bit of pre-season brilliance from the veteran. Michael Walters has his second. And Fremantle right now are doing as they please against the D's. They move to 6-9-45. Melbourne 1-9-15. 23 gone. Second quarter. For tyre power, big brands, better buys.
Yeah, second goal of this quarter where Fremantle have basically moved the ball coast to coast. Really good skills. Walters, as I said earlier, when he gets the ball inside 50, it's danger for the opposition. He's very accurate in front of goal, or he sets another player up. So really good, strong quarter from Fremantle. They've kept the opposition goalless, down a few points, kicked 5 themselves, and it's been a quality second quarter by Fremantle. And it's not a good quarter from Melbourne, I must say, and not alarm bells. But, you'd have a few question marks on what I've seen in this quarter, that's for sure.
It could end up being a longer review than the players would like when they get back to the football club, as out of the middle, the two stars link up, Oliver and Petrarca. Here's Murphy Reid getting back in defence to lend a hand. I know Dockers fans love the look of him as the ball goes to the wing. O'Meara tried to keep it alive. Gawn was right there with him, laid some contact, which was legal, according to the umpire, and a boundary throw-in at the interchange gates here on the broadcast position of the ground. 6-9 Fremantle 45, lead Melbourne 1-9-15. Spinning back into play, Gawn and Reedy doing the ruck work. Brayshaw couldn't quite get the football as Sparrow's tackled by O'Driscoll, and here's Bolton getting around a couple, linking up with Brayshaw. Nice passage. Brayshaw stopped on a dime. Poked it inside 50. O'Driscoll, great mitts. And a nice grab from Nathan O'Driscoll. 48 metres out at left half forward. And he'll go back and have a set shot.
Well, yeah, it was a good mark. He's got the journey, O'Driscoll. And you saw a bit of a difference there, Jim, in the midfield. Melbourne, bit fumbly. Fremantle clean. I think it was Bolton clean with the ball at ground level, and O'Driscoll will get the journey for sure. It's a question of accuracy.
Had some injury concerns last year. Hoping to make 2025. Here's the kick. Is an absolute beauty from Nathan O'Driscoll, and he walks over to the crowd and gives a gentle little pump up to the plenty of Freo faithful that have made the trip here to Rushton Park. Nathan O'Driscoll gets in on the action. 7-9-51 now. Fremantle to Melbourne, 1-9-15. 26 gone second quarter. For tyre power, big brands, better buys.
Yeah, nice finish by O'Driscoll. He looks fit. He looks confident when he approaches the ball. He looks like he's going to add to Fremantle's team, and he can really run, really motor, that boy. His brother, Aidan O'Driscoll, who can't play footy anymore due to concussion, was really quick. So some fast twitch fibres in the family there, but not really nice kick as well. Melbourne made a lot of noise over summer, Jimmy, about how they're done this and done that and addressed this and addressed that. On the evidence so far, not much has changed.
Interesting to see how they respond to this in the later stages of the second quarter, because Fremantle right now are just doing it quite easily as Sarong sends it up to half forward, intercepted by Bowie. A 36-point margin for Fremantle. D's have not kicked a goal in this second quarter. Another
horrible kick. Poor
turnover. Ryan, barely the required 15. In fact, it wasn't. Johnson had to play on. Drop punted inside 50. Big collision. Amos against a couple of D's. Ball hit the deck. Billings gets back to lend a hand. But they just look stagnant here, the D's. Petrarca marks at half back. He's going to look up and see purple jumpers.
There's not a lot of quick rebound off half-back, Jimmy, with Melbourne. It's chip and mark, and they've found it hard to move the ball quickly into their forward line. And I think that's also made it hard for them to score. Fremantle have often been able to get a lot of numbers back. So it hasn't been easy for the Melbourne forwards in that respect.
And a desperate dive from O'Driscoll to knock it away from Max Gawn, who's giving Jack Billings some words of advice.
Well,
he looks frustrated at the moment, Max Gawn.
Well, yeah, he's tried his guts out so far in this game, and a couple of times he's had a knee in the back and really working hard. Nice tap by Gawn there, by the way.
Down to Oliver. Langdon then got it inside 50 for Melbourne. No real structure there. Wagner, good kick. And O'Driscoll was really coming into his own in this game.
Yeah.
Almost, I want to say, Steve Malaxos cementing around one berth as he floats one back to half-back for Jordan Clark.
If they pick the team at half-time, he would be in it, Jimmy. In my opinion, he would definitely be in it.
Cox.
Who they got to come back in who's not playing today?
So Hayden Young, we know, is going to miss a little
Darcy's
bit of football.
going to miss. Maybe Fife? No.
Nath Fife.
Probably not.
Not sure.
And Pierce, but he's defender.
Yep.
No, I think O'Driscoll would be in the team round one.
He's doing his best to keep out the likes of Erasmus. And
we haven't
Will
seen
Brodie.
Erasmus on the field yet, have we? Or Brodie?
Will Brodie not in the squad this afternoon. So
he's Johnson.
He's the other one, isn't he?
Yeah, they seem to prefer Johnson to Brodie and Erasmus, Freo, don't they? He seems to get the nod ahead of those guys.
Up to the wing. Big mark, Josh Tracy. Finally shows those mitts, Steve Malaxos.
Well, he took a great mark earlier, and he's put himself in position to mark about 8 times. Dropped a couple, but at least he's going for them. He's had a good half, actually.
And that is the halftime siren in the background. Fremantle, a very strong first half down in Mandurah. 7-9-51 to Melbourne, 1-9-15. Just a couple of quick words, Steve Malaxos. What do you think Simon Goodwin and Justin Longmuir are saying to their troops at halftime, respectively?
Well, I think Justin Longmuir would be pretty pleased. They haven't made too many mistakes. It was one thing that's really occurred to me. Haven't given Melbourne the ball from easy turnovers, so they've been pretty safe and efficient with the ball, and at times they've opened Melbourne up with quick rebound off half-back. I think their forwards have looked lively. Amos hasn't kicked a goal. He's had a few shots. May's had a good game, but that was a really good quarter by Fremantle. For Melbourne, goodness knows. I thought they were horrible in that quarter, Jimmy. They gave Fremantle 2 goals, basically, didn't kick a goal themselves, and they looked a class below Fremantle. Now, I'll give them a little bit of a, emotional respite. Yes, it is hot. They would be it's not stinking hot, but maybe that's affecting him a bit. And yes, it is only a practice match. But I thought they'd come to this game, and I didn't think that they would be 6 goals behind at half-time. Well, and I didn't think, and I would have expected them not to be, Jimmy.
WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos on the call this afternoon with me, Jimmy Williams. It is half-time from Rushden Park. Fremantle 7-9-51. The D's 1-9-15. We'll be back with the half-time show right after this.
That quarter on AFL Nation was for Tyre Power. Selected Falcon tyres, buy 3, get 1 free. Now down to the post-MAC press conference with Lions coach Chris Fagan.
Chris, tell us how the Happy Meal went tonight.
My grandson didn't get a Brisbane bear clip this time, so we better collect all 18.
The AFL Happy Meal is here. The season starts at Macca's. T's and C's apply.
Trying to choose new flooring, window furnishings or rugs for your home? Choices Flooring's Room View makes it easy to find the look you've been searching for. Whatever the space or your flooring needs, simply take a photo of the area in your home and select your flooring styles, window furnishings or rugs from the thousands of colours, styles and texture options. Using Choices Flooring's Room View, you can see your selections right in your own home. Then send your favourites to your local Choices Flooring store to book a free measuring quote.
At Blunston, we've always kept moving so the people who wear our boots can do the same. Our work and safety range is built for anything the day throws at you. From a long day on the work site to tackling the rugged terrain on the farm and everything in between, Blunston has you covered. Engineered tough with next-gen technology and award-winning design, our work and safety boots provide protection and comfort all day long. Blunston, building the future. Find your local retailer at blunston.com.au.
Don't risk a shirt, don't risk your pants, don't take a chance, go to Alan Man.
Nissan have increased their warranty to 10-year, 300,000 kilometre with 10 years roadside assist and 5 years cap price services. So now you can drive longer and further with Alan Mance Nissan. Save over $5,000 on run-out Qashqai models and X-Trail. Check out all the Super MY24 run-out deals at alanmancenissan.com.au.
LMCT 9507.
Footy's back, and so is all the action at Tyre Power. Celebrate the start of the season with the team from Tyre Power, and you'll get the power to buy 3 and get 1 free on selected Kumho tyres. Buy 3 and get 1 free on selected Kumho tyres, but only at Tyre Power during their Footy's back sale. It's time to tackle road safety with a new set of tyres at Tyre Power. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
Get more from your boat insurance with Club Marine. As Australia's largest boat insurance provider, Club Marine is committed to helping you take the worry out of boating. Club Marine also includes 24/7 roadside assistance with your policy for your vehicle and trailer, together with a dedicated claim service. Trusted by thousands of Aussie boaties, Club Marine is your obvious choice for boat insurance. Get a quote today at clubmarine.com.au. Before buying, check the PDS and TND available at clubmarine.com.au.
In this new era of ChatGPT and AI, the tradies of Melbourne have spoken. Us blokes want the real robot.
Robots got it.
Carpentry, fencing, engineering projects and DIY. Robot Building Supplies can help you get the job done.
Robots got it.
The original robot since 1946. Find us in Notting Hill, Sunshine, Preston, Dramana, Pakenham, Coldstream and Darnham. We're robot, but we're human. robotbuildingsupplies.com.au.
ROBOT, Robot Building Supplies.
Curious about how a business loan from On Deck can assist your small business? Meet Fernando, the mastermind behind a booming construction management company.
I needed $47,000 to get new equipment and grow my business. And in just 2 hours, On Deck had the money in my account. So good.
Visit On Deck. Business loans can be approved and in your account within 2 hours, like Fernando. Visit On Deck now.
On Deck.
T's and C's apply. All loans are subject to lender approval.
Go on a Macca's run, pick up the mouth-watering new spicy chicken McWrap, and get all fired up for another week at work. But not too fired up. That would be unprofessional. Available 10:30 a.m. to midnight.
You're listening to the 2025 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation. The Macca's Fiery New Spicy Chicken McWrap is here.
A clever little handball which came to Brayshaw from Murphy Reid. And Sonny Walters, finally we see a major. It comes from the Fremantle veteran, here's Bolton. Just a glimpse of what this man is going to do in 2025. He shook off a tackle, dumped it on the left boot and snapped it through right on the quarter-time buzzer. Could have got a little closer to the man on the mark, but didn't need to. Caleb Sarong shows everyone how to do it in what has been a pretty inaccurate afternoon so far. Just waited for the footy to set up for him. It didn't, but he showed some fancy hands and fancy footwork. And the left foot snap from Sonny Walters. A bit of pre-season brilliance from the veteran. Welcome back to AFL Nation for Macca's. Their delicious new Biscoff range is even more reason for a Macca's run. Might be getting one of those on the way home. This is the halftime floor show for Choices Flooring. Shape your future with a Choices Flooring apprenticeship. WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos with me, Jimmy Williams, on the call for the final game of the AFL Community Series. Steve Malaxos, Fremantle look great. Melbourne, 1-9-15, don't.
No, the scoreboard's not looking good for Melbourne. However, I think that they can take a bit out of the first quarter. I thought they played the first quarter pretty well, Melbourne. Their second quarter was horrible. Skills down a bit. Fremantle looked more organised, moved the ball more fluently, and two horrible basic sort of turnovers in defence enabled Fremantle to dominate that quarter, and they got a 6-goal lead. But in the first quarter, I thought Melbourne looked quite sharp, but couldn't get the score on the board, and really that has plagued Melbourne for quite a few years now. The amount of play they get, because they've got a pretty good midfield, and Oliver and Petraka have looked quite good today, Jimmy, but they just can't get the score on the board. I mean, the first quarter they had 15 inside 50s for one goal. That's not going to cut the mustard, and really, and then we talked about it off air, Jimmy, just them going into the forward line that second quarter. Just they had a couple of shots, so. I suppose you could question what I'm going to say. They didn't really look like they were going to score a goal. They didn't look as though they had a system, or maybe it's just purely they haven't got the players there. But a very disappointing quarter by Melbourne. Came to this game very interested in how they were going to go. They've been in the news for a lot of reasons, and they've talked up their pre-season, and at half-time the actions haven't supported the talk. Fremantle have been pretty solid, pretty professional, haven't made many blues in defence, made Melbourne work for everything, and capitalised on Melbourne's errors. So
just to touch on who they're missing, Jacob Van Rooyen has had some back spasms and he's out of the game for the D's. He did start, though, today for Melbourne. Jake Melksham and Harry Petty, the other two that aren't playing this afternoon, and Cozzy Pickett is here in Mandurah, but has not taken his warm-up top off. So I'm not sure. And you weren't here, actually, but he did have a very lengthy conversation in the warm-up with Simon Goodwin that I was fascinated at looking at there. So maybe we might not even see Cozzy Pickett this afternoon. Is it worth it, unless he needs the run? Well, I reckon every player needs to run. This is the only sort of proper practice match. As far as the fixtures goes, they've had match simulation. This is like a proper hit out. So yes, I'll cut Melbourne a little bit of slack. We're probably seeing them without four of their better forwards, Jimmy. So I'll give a little bit of leniency in that way, and that is some good points you've made there. So perhaps I need to just back off a little bit in being hostile towards their scoring, but. In saying that, it's not like they're bringing in, Charlie Curnow or, Jesse Hogan or Cameron or those guys. I mean, Pickett's very dangerous, so I still think the forward line's going to be a problem for them. But I'll take your point. They are a few boys down, and they've got a few youngsters here they're giving a go to.
but they will need to improve how they move the ball. Seems pretty basic. How they move the ball through the big sticks.
In the meantime, for Fremantle, they're probably missing 3 guys that you'd probably have in their best 23 come their round 1 clash against Geelong. Obviously, we know Hayden Young, who injured his hamstring earlier this week, he will not be there. Sean Darcy, that off-season ankle injury, which continues to plague him, and their star Brownlow medalist in Nat Fyfe. We'll wait and see whether or not he gets up in time for round 1s. What have you liked from what you have seen from Fremantle today?
Well, I've liked that they've played like a professional quality team. They haven't, there's been no glaring errors in defence where you go, what a horrible turnover, or that guy missed the handball, or a stupid high tackle. They've made Melbourne work for everything, and to me that's a sign of a quality team, not giving the opposition easy goals or not giving them easy looks. So I've really liked that from Fremantle. It's been quite a professional performance. I've liked how at times they've moved the ball really quickly from defensive 50, not all the time, but in that quarter, for example, they moved it coast to coast twice. So those are the 2 things that stand out. And a couple of individuals, I think, look a little bit better than they did last year. And O'Driscoll certainly is one, and Bolton, who's a recruit. So there's a little bit to like about the Freo team today. Be interesting how this plays out in the second half. I would hope, if I was a Melbourne supporter, considering all the talk that we've heard in the last 6 months about them, that they come out and put on a pretty good display in the second half. It's not going to be easy for them because Fremantle are playing a very good, solid brand of football. I'm not sure what Melbourne can do, though, Jimmy. You know, they've got the players out there are in the spots they normally play in, and all their top players look as though they're in reasonable form. It's it's the guys that are striving to make the team that are struggling a bit. I mean, Billings has played quite a bit of footy. He's had opportunities, but hasn't capitalised. Jimmy, for example.
It's a different football game if they kick a couple of those early goals, isn't it? To the northern end, we saw Bailey Fritsch, a goal that he would. Yeah. Everyone in football would normally put in their book. Yeah. He misses, which was a set shot directly in front.
Johnson missed one from 30 dead in front, didn't he? Yeah.
It's not like they haven't had opportunities. What are they? 1-9.
They've had 10 pings at goal,
Fremantle a 7-9. So,
but still, you know.
Hey, what's the wettest game of football you can recall playing in?
Well, there's a few that spring to mind. I remember once at Princess Park, it was called. Then we were playing Carlton, and the ground was in bad shape nearly the whole year. But that was mud over your boot stuff. Remember as a kid running around in puddles. But you're leading into something happening up in Queensland, Jimmy.
Yeah, the AFL this afternoon, they're just monitoring the Brisbane forecast ahead of the opening round season opener between Brisbane and Geelong. 7 to 60 millimetres of rain predicted in Brisbane on Thursday, with a cyclone possible and some winds potentially exceeding 130 kilometres per hour. So it's some pretty nasty
conditions. Do you think they're
conditions.
Considering shifting the game?
Well, I think they have to at least look at the forecast, which is what they're going to do. But I'm actually not sure what constitutes the conditions being bad enough for them to change. But I suppose time will tell.
I would think the broadcasters, it's the opening of the season, you want a pretty good spectacle on if the AFL. Channel 7 will want, they're paying millions and millions, they want a pretty good spectacle. So there's a few levers there. Brisbane, on the other hand, would want a home game, but, you know, in those conditions, looking at it from afar, I would think there's a really good case to shift the game and for the betterment of footy.
We'll go to a break and we'll be back with the second half from Rushton Park right after this.
You're listening listening to the 2025 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation. The Macca's Fiery New Spicy Chicken McWrap is here.
Go on a Macca's run, pick up the mouth-watering new Spicy Chicken McWrap and get all fired up for another week at work. But not too fired up. That would be unprofessional. Available 10:30am to midnight.
Trying to choose new flooring, window furnishings or rugs for your home? Choices Flooring's Room View makes it easy to find the look you've been searching for. Whatever the space or your flooring needs, simply take a photo of the area in your home and select your flooring styles, window furnishings or rugs from the thousands of colours, styles and texture options. Using Choices Flooring's Room View, you can see your selections right in your own home. Then send your favourites to your local Choices Flooring store to book a free measure and quote.
Real people, real products, real fun. No matter who you are, Sexyland has something real sexy for everyone. With Australia's biggest range of sexy costumes, lingerie, couples toys and fun gifts and games for adults. Sexyland. 11 stores in Melbourne and Geelong, open till midnight 7 days a week. Or shop online for 2-hour delivery. Sexyland.com.au.
Your mouth deserves a little harmony. Introducing Henry Bloom's Probiotic Mouthwash, where balance meets freshness. Formulated with Gentle Lac, a probiotic strain that harmonises the delicate pH of your mouth and promotes beneficial bacteria, creating a healthier, more balanced oral environment. It's not just a mouthwash, it's probiotic protection with a minty fresh twist. Henry Bloom's Probiotic Mouthwash is available at all major pharmacies. Grab yours today. Always read the label and follow directions for use.
The footy, it's here, it's happening, and the footy's back sale is on now at Tyre Power. This footy season, your number one destination on Google Maps for safety is Tyre Power. Because when it comes to tyres, place your family in safe hands and go with the premiership team, Tyre Power. During the footy's back sale, buy 3, get 1 free on selected Kumho passenger, SUV and 4-wheel drive tyres. Find your Aussie-owned local independent Tyre Power dealer at tyrepower.com.au.
Hi, Kev Sheedy here. I've been proud to support Essendon BMW for years. And let me tell you, their range of electric vehicles is something else. These machines are innovative, efficient, and an absolute pleasure to drive. BMW's cutting-edge EVs combine sustainability, performance, and that unmistakable sheer driving pleasure. If you've been thinking about making the switch, now's the time. Get down to Essendon BMW today. Check out the range, take one for a drive, and see for yourself what the future of driving feels like. LXCT 0011700.
Hi, Gary Lyon here. Good mornings start with Tempur. Tempur's range of mattresses and adjustable bases adapt to the exact shape of your body so you can put your head and feet up in comfort. Also, if you're like me and have ongoing back concerns, Tempur mattresses assist in alleviating your pain. Find your perfect position with an easy-to-use wireless remote and massage function available at the touch of a button. Experience the Tempur range today. You can view Tempur athlete stories at tempur.com.au. Tempur, a mattress like no other.
With the AFL season getting closer, fans are already crystal balling their dream grand final. And like your predictions, Best Sheds has the passion, knowledge and expertise to achieve the desired outcome when it comes to your dream shed.
Experts already have the Brisbane Lions making the big one. But here in Melbourne, we're tipping the Blues v Hawks in a September Classic at the G.
Make your shed dreams come true with Best Sheds. 30% off the entire range sale on now. Visit bestsheds.com.au.
Beat the 3pm slump with a Macca's run and grab something from the delicious new Biscoff range, like the Biscoff Coffee Frappe or Biscoff McPops, and turn feeling slumped into feeling pumped. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants.
You're listening to the 2025 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation. The Macca's Fiery New Spicy Chicken McWrap is here.
Great to have your company from Mandra's Rushton Park for the final game of the AFL Community Series. The halftime break is just about over. Jimmy Williams and Steve Malaxos with you for the second half, where Melbourne just have to find a way of turning this scoreboard around. Steve Malaxos,
Yes.
1 goal, 9 in the first half.
Simple as that, Jimmy. They've got to find a way. Did see Van Ruin walking around. He looks like me. He looked like me walking when I get up in the morning, Jimmy. But he is walking and moving for the Melbourne supporters, but certainly not moving freely, was he?
He looked in all kinds of discomfort, but I'm no medical professional, but I definitely would be concerned a fortnight out from the season proper. Nice start.
Walking very slowly he was,
The second half for the D's has Gorn linked up with a couple of their mids. Viney gets involved now. A little bit of a pep in their step here as the D's go inside 50. Fritsch fell over, couldn't quite get the football in his grasp as Chapman sends it out to the wing. Well done by Walters, who showed a clean pair of heels to get around one of the D's players as Tracy put a hand up, made a contest. Amos tackled by Oliver, just got it out and shovelled it in the nick of time. Brayshaw to Johnson, who sets it up. Luke Jackson, bodywork, couldn't quite hang on to the mark. Nice big tackle by Walters. In fact, Bolton it is, down there on Windsor, and a ball up 20 metres out from Fremantle's goal.
Lever did well there, one-on-one. Jackson had to sit, but he just bodied him well. I would like to have seen Jackson take that mark, Jimmy. I reckon it was set up for him, but he just couldn't coordinate hitting Lever and taking the mark at the same time. Oliver's down over there with some injury.
Sarong, out of the would-be tackler, had a pot shot on goal, and Clayton Oliver, these fans will not like to hear this, but he looks sore. He's okay.
I think it's facial, Jimmy.
Accidental knock to the nose.
Nose or something.
The D's look a little bit more energised following their break, but they do have a mountain of work to do in the second half. 52 plays 15, and the Dockers did the damage in the first half. Here come Sharp, who flicked over the handball to Chandler. It goes out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Chandler was away then, and Sharp, the young fella, it was a regulation handball over the top, and Chandler would have had a forward 50 entry, and he missed him by a metre.
Very sloppy Melbourne Demons
Shocking
today.
handball.
Chandler trying to get his hands on it. Petrarca goes to work at the stoppage, tackled by Clark, flicked it out. Sharp trying to make amends, goes back for Salem, who ran himself into a Jordan Clark wall, up to half forward. Big pack of players, comes off hands. Petrarca dished off the handball, snap around the corner to the goal line. He's knocked through for a minor score.
I reckon Petrarca would have been better off having a shot himself there, Jimmy. He handballed to Viney.
He wasn't ready, was he?
Yeah.
So they're not on the same page.
But Viney had to go on his right foot. Viney was running on his left, fair enough. Petrarca would have been better off.
1 goal 10 now. Melbourne, as Fremantle bring it out to right half back, comes off hands. Boundary thrown at the junction. 7-10-52 plays 1-10-16. The Dockers in charge here on AFL Nation for Maccas. The fiery new spicy chicken McWrap is here. Back into play. Gorn doing the ruck work opposed to Reedy. Oliver snaps it out of the stoppage. It'll roll through for a minor score. He throws his hands in the air. Even he's frustrated with himself, Clayton Oliver.
Yes. For Melbourne supporters listening, he's played reasonably well. Not at his blistering best of a couple of years ago. Looks quite fit and sharp and engaged. But both he and Petrarca, that's the positive for Melbourne, is those two look in pretty good shape. It's probably the only positive so far.
Thought Johnson would have been paid the mark there, but maybe not the required 15 metres, and we'll get a boundary throw-in as Johnson was taken over the line by Oliver. It'll land 49 out from the D's goal, who are doing most of the attacking to start this third term. Just repeating the news that Jacob Van Rooyen is out of the game with back spasms.
Pickett warmed up again, Jimmy, but he doesn't look as though he's going to come on. He wasn't sort of really engaged in it. Here we go, Gorn, free kick in the ruck. He's won a lot of the ruck contests, Jim. He's the pure ruck contest. He's been on top. Jackson's done some good work around the ground for Freo, but the actual ruck contest, Gorn has won a lot more headouts.
Yeah, Liam Reedy getting the opportunity to do most of the ruck work today for Fremantle. A couple of games last year. Didn't play in a win in either of his 2 games. Is gone. The 7-time All-Australian ruckman. At left half forward, he'll have to send this about 52 metres. Drop punt on the way is looking pretty good. It's high and it's straight for Big Max. He says, if the forwards can't do it, leave it to me. The skipper from long range gets the D's second of the afternoon. It comes at the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. They move to 2 goals, 10-22. Fremantle, 7-10-52. 5.5 gone on the third quarter scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys.
Great kick by Gawn. Not a noted shot for goal, is he? But he absolutely flushed that one. He was in position A, it was a long kick though, 50 out, but the breeze blown straight over his shoulder, over his head, and all he had to do was set it on its path, and he did. So well done to Melbourne. Like the first quarter when they were going to that end, Jimmy, they've had all the play, and they've started this quarter like they did in the first. So a bit of spirit shown by Melbourne, which is good. That certainly haven't chucked in the towel, nor should they.
Interesting lineup here in the middle for Fremantle. Murphy, Reid, O'Driscoll, Jackson and Brayshaw opposed to Gawn, Petrarca, Viney.
There's
and
quality
Langdon.
in there, isn't there, eh?
Battle for
quality for both teams.
There's a free kick here going the way of Max Gawn, who's just willing himself into this game. Handball to release Windsor. This is a little better. Viney links up with Petrarca, who lowered the eyes and nailed the target. Clayton Oliver marks 45 out, almost directly in front.
It's class, isn't he, Petrarca? And he's been very unselfish today. He kicked one across
for Billings.
To Mark here. I thought he might have had a shot. He gave one to Viney, which I reckon he would have been better off having a shot. And now he's hit Oliver with the lead. I thought he was going to have a long shot. So very unselfish play by Petrarca.
So he's got the breeze. It's only slight, but to the left of your radio dial, good purchase from Oliver. Goal umpire barely moved the muscle. A better start to the third quarter, and almost every Demons player there has got to Clayton Oliver. In fact, all bar 4, the defenders, have gone to him. So clearly a message of some spiritual leadership, perhaps, from Simon Goodwin at the halftime break. Melbourne moved to 3-10-28. Fremantle 7-10-52. They have the only 2 goals for the third quarter.
Yes, and that's Oliver's second, and he has spent a reasonable amount of time in the forward line. He started the first quarter in the forward line. He's in the forward line right at the moment. He's not at the centre square. And quite a good move, I think, and showing some dividends, actually. Already kicked 2 goals. So Melbourne getting a bit more reward for effort in this quarter than they did in the first.
WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos with me, Jimmy Williams from Mandra's Rushton Park for the final game of the AFL's Community Series on a beautiful afternoon here in Western Australia as Melbourne go forward again from the centre bounce. O'Driscoll had to play on, had to use his non-preferred kick hung up in the air, and that's a invitation for the likes of Christian Petrarca, who uses Windsor, breaks some lines, runs some measure, goes to the hot spot with a drop punt. Fritsch at the back, brought it to ground. This is better from the D's. They're pressing under pressure now. Davies, Ryan had his back to it and was a little bit, what's the word? I'm not sure. He was ready for the kick, Luke Ryan, but it came to him and somehow they get out of danger. Murphy Reid has it on his defensive 50.
I think Melbourne are trying to move the ball a little bit quicker, Jimmy, like a handball receive here from Salem earlier, or to Salem, and there from Windsor. Maybe that's one of the things they've addressed. They're a bit slow moving the ball from half back, and looks like they're trying to move it a little bit quicker.
Up the
Actually,
wing.
that was a good chance for a goal there, but Johnson fumbled the ball. If he had taken it cleanly, he would have either had a shot or given it to Fritsch.
Switkowski goes up the wing in search of O'Driscoll, but Billings was there for the D's to intercept and knock it out of play. He would have preferred to hang on to the mark, but it'll be a stoppage. Melbourne 3-10-28. Trail Fremantle 7-10-52. 9 gone, third term here for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. The D's with the only 2 goals so far of this third quarter, and Langdon, the former Docker, goes up to half forward. Petrarca at his ankles, picked it up, clean into the pocket, in search of his teammate down there who was running out of real estate in Dan Turner, and it will be a ball in, which will land about 35 from Melbourne's goal. This is a very different looking D's in this third quarter, Steve.
Yes, been on top. They were in the first quarter though, Jimmy. They were all over Freo early, like they've been in this quarter, but certainly different to the second quarter. Moving the ball faster and with a little bit more urgency.
Langdon, quick shot on goal, missing to the near side. Didn't get a clean look at them. Moves Melbourne to 3 goals, 11-29 to Fremantle's 7-10-52, a 23-point margin for the WA home side, if you will, this afternoon. Long and high from Wagner. Max Gawn has to beat Jackson and a couple of other Fremantle players. He gathered it and then he kicked it into the stand, Big Max.
Obviously didn't mean it. But he missed the inside the boundary by a fair distance, Jim.
Not his best kick. Even he admitted it as he threw a hand up and apologised to his teammates. Clark now for Fremantle. Goes to a 2-on-2. Gawn the first to get a hand to it. Amos tries to shug off a tackler, but Fremantle work it out through Walters, who was trying to link up with O'Driscoll, and they ran out of room. Boundary throw in just forward of the wing here for the Dockers, who've got Shea Bolton and Josh Tracy and Jai Amos in their forward 50. Shea Bolton with a couple of goals for Fremantle in the first time he's pulled on a purple Guernsey. Of course, played for the Indigenous All-Stars here at Optus Stadium a couple of weeks back in that impressive win over Fremantle. But he looks terrific for them in their front half as Brayshaw threw his arms out, played for the free. The D's emerge with it. Langton at the feet of Salem got a kind bounce, sends it up. Here's the young fella Langford, who did well opposed to Wagner. Jeez, he's a good size, Langford. A good little handball was intended for Viney, but just couldn't quite get there. The former D skipper comes to the bench for a rest. Ball in, left half forward for Melbourne.
Yeah, he did well there, Langford, but he was actually out, if you know what I mean. If he had just taken the ball and run with it, he would have been able to break free, but he chose to handball, and the handball wasn't accurate.
D's engine room getting to work here.
Yeah.
Oliver back to Salem, and now around the corner, Langdon, long and high inside 50. Nice mark taken back there by Carl Warner, who's into the game for Fremantle. Of course, extended squads this afternoon.
Yeah, that was a really good mark.
Showed no signs of any fear. He's almost one of those guys playing for their spot in this Fremantle lineup.
Yeah,
good use on this
well
occasion.
In the waffle. Jimmy, I watched Peel a bit in covering a Fremantle end, and he's a very good player at waffle level.
Caleb Sarong would have wanted that kick again out of D50. It invited Melbourne to come back. Great pressure by Nathan O'Driscoll, not rewarded. Lever looked up, flicked the handball over to Oliver, about to be caught straight away by Walker, who he dropped the football, Clayton Oliver. No prior, so the umpire said, I'll have it. At left half forward.
He had his back to the umpire. I don't think the umpire saw him just spill the ball.
Ooh, there's a free kick there paid out of this stoppage. It's going the way of Fremantle. Advantage allowed to be taken, and that allows Murphy Reid to run through the middle of Rushton Park, send it inside 50. Walters, just a little bit too small to go one-on-one with Blake Howes, who took a nice mark.
It was a good mark by Howes. Good one-on-one defensive mark.
Off the instep, put Lever under pressure, who's able to float it out to left half back. Chris Salem really lifted in this third quarter. We're in number 3 for Melbourne. And Christian Petrarca, who...
He's had a really good quarter, hasn't he?
He's had a really good game.
Yeah, he has.
Bowie's been solid down back, albeit they trail by 23 points. Melbourne, it's fantastic to see one of the premier players of the comp in Christian Petrarca out there playing football after a very scary period of his life last year. He is an absolute pleasure to watch as Stephen May, one of the leading possession getters on the ground, has generalled that back 6 for the D's this afternoon. Lever goes wide to Salem, a little casual, nice one-hander into the pocket in search of Fritsch. Warner did well to bring it to ground. Switkowski's there lending a hand, but he accidentally towed it to Sparrow. And now Petrarca on the right boot, screwing it back. Missing across the face.
Jeez, powerful, isn't he? That was
he set
one
that
step 60 metres.
Goalpost high, hasn't he? Without
Yeah.
even thinking about it.
Yeah. He's had a great quarter.
They needed to find a lift from somewhere. It's their midfield that's really trying to will them back into this game, Melbourne. They're 3-12-30 to Fremantle 7-10-52. 15.5 gone third quarter on the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. And now Fremantle, like we saw in the opening 6 or 7 minutes of the game, are battling to get it out of their defensive half. Chapman marks at half back.
Yes, Fremantle trying the slow, controlled build-up.
Jackson was the target. Groans from the fans. He had to go at it pretty hard, and right there with him was the young recruit from Werribee and Aidan Johnson, 24 years of age, from more of a mature age recruit out of Werribee in the VFL.
Yes, a few players got recruited from that Werribee team. They won the flag, didn't they? I think 4 or 5. So, yeah.
Rivers
good
to
year for Werribee.
Petrarca to Fritsch, who got a hand on it and couldn't wheel it in. And it goes through for a minor score.
If he had left it, would have gone for a goal, Jimmy. But I'm not sure Fritsch... I don't think he knew where the goals were specifically. But he just got a hand to it, and he hit the ball sort of too hard. He wasn't able to bring it down. Went through for a point, but Melbourne in control in this quarter.
They are doing all the attacking, but here's a chance now for Fremantle. Sarong to Switkowski. Frederick is in a mountain of space at right half forward. He's got Walters all by himself. He eventually saw him and he hit him, and Walters nearly dropped the mark. He had to use his thigh as the football went on the way down. It doesn't matter though, because he's taken the mark 40 metres out, directly in front. Michael Walters going back to potentially kick his third of the afternoon.
Yes, and was good team forward play. Tracy led towards the boundary. Walters in the middle. There was one Melbourne defender. The Melbourne defender decided to go to Tracy, and Frederick was smart enough to hit Walters, who was free.
Walters comes in search of his third. It's a helicopter. And it misses to the left-hand side.
Unusual kick from Michael Walters. He's normally beautiful drop punt for goal. But how was Frederick 40 metres in the clear, Jimmy? I mean, sometimes it's astounding how a forward would be so much in the clear. No one near him.
Up to the wing, big contest, free kick paid, going the way of Melbourne as both Gawn and Johnson get up off of the grass. Rivers try to handball it along the boundary line and then get possession back, but he ran out of room and never really looked on.
Now, they're trying to move the ball a bit quicker and get handball receives, but I don't know what Rivers was trying to do there. That was never going to work.
Not a lot of real estate there.
No.
Gawn tapped it down to Oliver, who couldn't quite grasp it. Now Sparrow taking in a tackle. Ball up. True centre wing position. Fremantle by 22 points. 18.5 gone third term. Langford back for Rivers. Floats a handball up. Walker involved. Oliver tracks him to the interchange gates. And we'll get a ball in. Lovely afternoon. Perfect conditions for footy. 7-11-53 plays 3-13-31. Just repeating that young Melbourne forward Jacob Van Rooyen was out of the game quite early with back spasms. It's a big wait and watch ahead of round one. Jackson did really well to gather the football. Pokes it inside 50. Walters diving, couldn't hang on to the mark. Howes came over to lend a hand, taken by two Dockers. Ball up at the junction.
Yes, I was actually just looking at Switkowski and thought he's been a bit quiet today, but that's one thing he's noted for. His pressure and tackling in the forward line is top shelf.
Max Gawn lost his footing at the ball up, and he's still on the deck. I think he's tying his bootlaces up. Melbourne, in the meantime, are just going to keep going sharp. Hang on a minute. What's happened here?
50.
So the umpires paid a free kick, and then as he paid I'm not sure what's happened there. The D's are going to have the football, and they're going to have it at the 50-metre arc.
Yeah, it was happened here, Langdon and Frederick. Something happened.
You know what I reckon it was? And I'd love to see the replay, which we don't have access to, but we haven't seen this rule implemented a lot. It came in the year that the Dockers drafted Stephen Hill. It's the 50 metres for the hold on the player that gives away possession. So that's what
extended hold.
Yeah, you don't see it paid by the umpires all that often as Langton comes in and misses to the left-hand side. Yeah. It's actually, if you recall, and I forgive you if you don't.
I think it's a good rule.
It happened a lot back in sort of, I can't remember, forgive me, the first year of Stephen Hill's career. But what it did result in was the former Docker himself, Stephen Hill, his first kick in AFL was a goal because he was the first player that year that received the free kick for that action. But often what happens is, if it's in the action of the play...
Your memory of footy... I was going to call it trivia, but it's a bit harsh. Is astounding.
We'll come back to that because play is still going on about 20 metres out from the D's goal, and they're going to get one. The snap has gone through, fading away to the left. Bailey Fritsch gets his first of the afternoon, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Melbourne are well and truly back in this contest.
Yeah.
All 4 goals of the third quarter have gone their way. 4-14-38 plays 7-11-53. 21.5 gone third quarter for Tyre Power, big brands, better buys. Just going back to that, Steve, often what happens is, and this is just my opinion, the umpires will either pay advantage or bring it back. But if the free kick is for a hold of the player that has given away possession, that's what they wanted to stamp out all those years ago. So players would actually, rather than hold and prevent the runner from going, they would just do a different action. You don't see it paid all that often. And I might be wrong. It might not have been that. But it certainly looked like Langdon was being prevented from running on.
Yeah, it's a good rule. Good. Players shouldn't be impeded. Nice finish from Fritsch. And this has been a heartening quarter by Melbourne. They were 6 down at half time, and they've come out and played with really good spirit, a bit of a change in intent in how they've moved the ball off half-back, and I reckon that has helped their scoring. 100 metres away, I know, but it's just allowed their forwards to get a better look at the ball, a bit more one-on-one rather than having 18 Fremantle players in front of them.
Bolton went into the middle but turns it over. Melbourne go inside 50 again. Oliver to the hot spot, over the head.
Good mark.
Of Turner.
By Cox.
Yeah, solid by Brendan Cox down there.
Yeah, he's played well, Cox. But it was 20, It wasn't strong enough play by the young Melbourne forward. Which one was it, Jimmy? But he was too easily nudged under the ball by Cox. You need to provide a contest.
Murphy Reid in the middle. Turning it over by hand. Max Gawn desperate. Clever little tap. Allowed Langton to get involved. Over the head of Oliver, though. There's 4 Ds on 1 here. Warner has to go in and just hold the footy up. He does a pretty good job. Yeah. Ball up in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, he did have to win that ball, Warner, because if he didn't win that, Melbourne were through and would have been having a running shot at goal from the corridor.
Oliver had a big third quarter, Clayton. Goes long with a drop punt, inside 50. Down there is Turner. Gets a little tap. Turner gathers, waits, got a handball up. Oh, clever snap, but it was come off the thigh almost of Brendan Cox. Yeah. Johnson was trying to find the big sticks, and in the way was the big Brendan Cox.
Yeah, the snap was too low a trajectory. You know, there's a pack of players in front of him. He just needed to chip it over. Just a little bit of know-how by Johnson. He's been involved a couple of times, but just a little bit of forward craft, and he would have been able to finish a couple of goals. Great mark by Jackson.
Jackson getting aerial opposed to Howes at half-back. Takes the mark for Fremantle, who have only managed a couple of behinds this third quarter.
Yeah. Melbourne have been dominant in this quarter and played an improved brand of footy. Full credit to them.
O'Meara up to half forward. Tracy out to meet it. had to bounce off of his teammate Murphy Reid. And then inside 50, here's Jai Amos, goes up at the contest. Bowery didn't want to take possession. Clever little tap. Now the D's are under the pump. Back there, Lindsay getting involved, the youngster, but Fremantle still pressing. Clever little tap in by Bolton to keep the football alive. Sharp swings it inboard for Walker. He goes handball back in some space. Brayshaw from 45. Snuck it in. A little bit of class from Andy Brayshaw. He was in just enough space to get his balance and drive it through. And he snuck it in for Fremantle's first of the third term. 8-11, 59. Plays 4-15, 39, 25 and a half gone. Third quarter, the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys, save on Falcon tyres.
Nice finish from Brayshaw. 30 or 40 out and received a handball 1 or 2 steps and nailed it. Not, what's the word? Not one of his strengths, kicking for goal, Andy. Not that he's poor at it, but not something he's noted for, but certainly finished off well. He's had a pretty solid game, has Brayshaw, as usual, and Sarong, solid game as well. They've been Fremantle's 2 best midfielders. Walker is in the midfield at the moment, which is an interesting call. Not normally noted for being in the midfield.
Reedy up against Gawn. It goes
Sorry,
back
it's not him, it's Bolton.
For the D's, Viney and Petrarca and Oliver. The D-star mids get to where Petrarca pulls the kick. Couldn't quite find the arms of a teammate. Petrarca goes in again. Blind turn out to Sparrow. Hot spot. Gawn just had it knocked away by O'Driscoll, who did really well on the big ruckman. Big tackle by Sarong. No prior. Ball up 45 from Melbourne's goal.
A little bit of nearly there from Melbourne. They nearly took a couple of marks.
Tap down blind handball. Viney taken by 2. O'Meara emerges with it for Fremantle. Warner tried to find O'Meara, but Clayton Oliver was there. Sidestep onto the left. Oliver sends the footy on the way, and Clayton Oliver kicks a classy one. Well, so much spoken about Clayton Oliver over the past 6 to 8 months, but he is fit and firing, and he's back in a big way. That's his 3rd goal this afternoon for the D's. 5:15:45 to 8:11:59. 27 and a half minutes gone. Third quarter scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. They're a completely different team when Clayton Oliver's firing for them, aren't they, Steve Malax?
Yeah, pure class there from Oliver. He's kicked 3 goals. Dodged, weaved, geez, he's sharp and agile and kicked on his left foot. But, you know, Petrarca and Oliver a couple of years ago and for a couple of years were 2 of the top 5 players in the competition, Jimmy. And at times today, I've just felt Petrarca's looked a class above everyone else. Including the better Fremantle players. Not that they're not good players, the Freo boys, but yeah, certainly Oliver, and that's the heartening sign for Melbourne, those 2 players looking pretty good.
They've been unbelievable in this third quarter. It's a complete different show up from what they gave in the first half. Free kick, an advantage paid here to Fremantle. Brayshaw and Jackson link up. Brayshaw about to be caught, got around Windsor, ran to 49. Andy Brayshaw has Tracy all by himself in the square, and that is as easy as you like for Brayshaw and Tracy, who made sure of it from point-blank range. Good awareness by the Freo midfielder to take the advantage, and Josh Tracy staying in the know with one of the easier goals you're going to see him kick.
Yeah, well done by Andy Brayshaw and Sarong through there. We spoke 30 seconds ago about Oliver and Petrarca and the 2 mid guns for Fremantle worked it the other way. I must say, though, it was a poor tackle by young Windsor. He had Brayshaw stone cold because Brayshaw evaded someone and it was a little bit blinded, and Windsor should have nailed the tackle and should have been holding the ball. Good young player, Windsor, but that was a poor tackling effort, and Brayshaw was able to too easily shrug it and kicked it to Tracy, who was on his own. And young Windsor knew it, which I like in a way. At least he acknowledges that he needed to do better there.
Oliver and Petrarca again link up out of the middle. Warner in a one-on-one did really well for Fremantle at half-back. Chapman under pressure just sent it back into the corridor. Petrarca, Marks. I feel like I've said those two names lots in this third quarter. Petrarca and Oliver really lifted it here.
Massive quarters.
Not quite 15. Windsor a chance to make amends. Runs to 48. Kick on the way. Is a goal. Caleb Windsor, who at the other end missed a tackle, goes to 48 out and drills one. Easy to see why he was Melbourne's best young player last year. Caleb Windsor gives us a 14-point ball game. 6-15-51. The D's trail Fremantle 9-11-65.
Good young player, Windsor. And he started at the centre bounce in the defensive 50, Jim. Because as I was talking about his missed tackle, I was looking at him, and he definitely started the defensive 50, and 20 seconds later he's in the forward 50 having a shot. He's just taken off and run forward, and he's coming back to half-back now, Jim. So he wasn't playing across half-back, I don't think, in the first half, so I reckon definitely feel as though Melbourne at half-time had a bit of a chat about adding some run and bounce off half-back, and it's helped them this quarter.
WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos in the commentary box this afternoon with me, Jimmy Williams. We have a ball game. 14 points is the margin, and it's the Dockers who lead it as Jackson tried to bounce it. Eventually it came up to him on the third attempt or so. Walters now on the wing, short for O'Driscoll. Just caught in that awkward spot between wing and half forward. He says, I'm going to send it long and high and give Tracy and Amos a chance. Into the pocket. Amos came out on a nice little lead and beat his opponent, who wasn't really in the frame, as Amos marks on his chest. 40 out, tight angle in the right forward pocket. We're right behind this one, Steve.
Jimmy, you'll be able to call this one beautifully. I'm not certain O'Driscoll actually meant the kick to go there. Although I suppose
I'll back you.
Well, I suppose he was looking for him, but it was an ugly sort of kick. Anyhow, call this one, Jimmy. You're right behind it.
He's a key forward, Jai Amos. The left foot is on the way. It's across the face. It's not going to score, but it's going to stay in play. The D's under pressure. Bowie just jumps it out of there. No look kick goes out in the full, so it's going to come back from Warner.
Well, yeah, Amos hasn't kicked a goal yet, Jim, has he? Not that he's had a poor game, but hasn't had a ripper, that's for sure.
It goes to the hot spot where both Tracy and Amos were prominent. It comes back out. O'Meara lands it awkwardly for him. He had to tap it back to Warner. Now Clark gets around one. Sends it on its way toward goal into the pocket. Walters just got there.
He's paying the mark.
I reckon he's marked it. Jack Billings is saying, I reckon it was out in the full, and the umpire puts the two mitts up and says, nope, that's a mark.
Yeah, just to clarify with Amos, May's beaten him, but he's had 4 shots at goal. And, you know, late in the third, so that's not too bad, but hasn't been able to convert. But certainly May's been on top of him.
Left forward pocket, the wrong side for Michael Walters, who's usually a left footer. Guess what? It doesn't matter. He puts the arms out to the crowd, gives a little bit of a shoulder shrug, and Michael Walters now has got 3 on the afternoon, and he's certainly putting his hand up to make sure that he is in Fremantle's starting 22 for round 1.
Well, he will be, I reckon, Jim. He's played well today. He's looked pretty sharp. He looks fit. That was a clever snap. That was on his non-preferred. Melbourne weren't happy, I don't think, with the umpiring decision. Need the video referee for that one, but a clever little snap by Michael Walters on his non-preferred or right foot. And unless he's injured, he's going to play round 1. He's played well today.
Fremantle star for so long, Sonny Walters, 5-time leading goal kicker, All-Australian back in 2019. He is nearing the end of his career, but he wants to make sure that he's there if they're going to be holding up the cup later this year. Jackson emerges with it. Inside 50 over the head of Amos. May led his opponent in Tracy to it. Lever about to be caught. Almost threw it away. Here's Amos's chance. He gives it up to Tracy, who snaps a goal. The advantage was paid from the holding the ball free kick. And the Fremantle forwards are all on the same page. Tracy gets involved. That's a couple for him this afternoon, and they've been easy ones from almost both of them. The square. Fremantle balloon it back out to 11-11-77 to Melbourne, 6-15-51 as we approach 35 gone in the third quarter.
And Max Gawn's going off. He's been battered around today, Max. He's tried really hard to lift his team, worked hard around the ground, running forward, running back, hit outs, been involved in a number of contests. Possibly that might be it for him. Actually, Jackson's looked pretty good, Jim, hasn't he?
Yep.
His mobility after the rock contest has been a standout this quarter. So he looks in pretty good shape as well. Yeah, Lever just tried to do a little bit too much. 15 metres out from goal. Good tackle by, it was Frederick. And then Amos gave Tracy the easy goal with a good assist.
Back in the middle, Rivers has gone on to the ball for the D's. Lane's in there, back to Rivers, who had it just knocked away by O'Meara. Little scrap, Sarong emerges with it. Luke Jackson's all by himself in the middle of the ground. It set up perfectly for him. Got a little bit lucky. Gave to Switkowski. The bell's going to beat the Dockers. And Bolton, I reckon, if there wasn't the distraction of that three-quarter time siren, maybe, in another world, marks it and goes back and kicks his third. But not to be on that occasion. Three-quarter time, Fremantle 11-11-77. Melbourne 6-15-51. Steve Malaxos, a quick thought on the three quarters so far.
That was an entertaining corner, Jim. We saw Melbourne intent on moving the ball quicker from half-back. Couple of positional changes to assist that. Windsor for one, and he ended up kicking goal, even though he started at half-back. And Petraka and Oliver were tremendous in the first 15 or 20 minutes. And it was certainly a good first 20 minutes by Melbourne. But the last 4 or 5, Fremantle were running right over the top of them. And Jackson, I reckon, was the catalyst for that, with some excellent around-the-ground work. And when the ball goes into Fremantle's defence, sometimes he doesn't follow the ball. He waits back. And if Fremantle get the ball, he's often free in the middle. The opposition ruckman pushes forward, and Jackson sometimes is content to just wait back. So, the most entertaining quarter of the game, and we saw the best of both sides, but Melbourne, certainly their best 15 or 20 minutes, and they pegged, I think they were 6 goals down at half-time, Jim.
They were, yep.
So they pegged it back a bit. They got it down to about 3 goals, but Freo kicked the last 2.
Steve Malaxos, WA Football Hall of Famer, with Jimmy Williams here at Mandurah's Rushton Park. Three-quarter time, we'll be back with the fourth quarter between Fremantle and Melbourne right after this.
That quarter on AFL Nation was for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. Save on Falcon tyres.
Go on a Macca's run, pick up the mouth-watering new spicy chicken McWrap, and get all fired up for another week at work. But not too fired up. That would be unprofessional. Available 10:30am to midnight.
Trying to choose new flooring, window furnishings or rugs for your home? Choices Flooring's Room View makes it easy to find the look you've been searching for. Whatever the space or your flooring needs, simply take a photo of the area in your home and select your flooring styles, window furnishings or rugs from the thousands of colours, styles and texture options. Using Choices Flooring's Room View, you can see your selections right in your own home. Then send your favourites to your local Choices Flooring store to book a free measure and quote.
The Signet WNBL finals are here. It all comes down to this. 4 teams, but only one will be crowned champion. For the other 3 teams, Hardo, Bendigo, Townsville, Perth and Sydney have one last shot to write their name in history. Watch on ESPN. Buy tickets at WNBL.basketball.
If
If you're a driver, rider, pedestrian or bystander and been injured in a road accident, you could be entitled to compensation. Arnold, Thomas and Becker can advise on all your entitlements, which could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and is in addition to what is provided by the TAC. Talk directly to an Arnold, Thomas and Becker lawyer and start your claim today. Arnold, Thomas and Becker Lawyers, securing compensation for Victorians for over 50 years. And if there's no win, there's no fee. Call 1300 333 300.
Nothing feels better than good health, and it feels even better at Chemist Warehouse's great prices. Hurry in store now and get Liquid IV Hydration Passion Fruit 10 sachets only $9.99. Move better with JS Health Advanced Magnesium Plus Powder, just $24.49. Rest well with Healthy Care Beauty Collagen Sleep 60 tablets, only $26.99. And feel strong with Wellco Hydro Protein Elixir, $44.99. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day.
Dreaming about having your own court at home? Stop dreaming. Start playing with Dream Courts, the official court partner of the NBL. They're Australia's leading outdoor tile sports flooring provider, supplying incredible courts that are trusted by basketball pros, loved by you. Get bouncing on your very own court that's designed for fun and to reduce injury, while providing an outlet away from screens and devices. Shoot some hoops for yourself with Dream Courts online court designer. Visit dreamcourts.com.au.
If you're after a new ute or truck, visit Freeway Motor Group. Try out Australia's official bestseller, the Ford Ranger, or its big brother, the F-150. There's the value-driven LDV T60 Max, while the new 2025 GWM Cannon now tows 3.5 tonnes. Or the Jeep Gladiator, the world's only open-top pickup truck. For utes and trucks, hit the freeway and visit Freeway Motor Group. Cranbourne, Frankston, Mornington or Lilydale. freewaymotorgroup.com.au. LMCT 9351.
The footy, it's here, it's happening, and the footy's back sale is on now at Tyre Power. This footy season, your number one destination on Google Maps for tyre safety is Tyre Power, because when it comes to tyres, place your family in safe hands and go with the premiership team, Tyre Power. During the footy's back sale, buy 3, get 1 free on Kumho passenger, SUV and 4-wheel drive tyres. Find your Aussie-owned local independent Tyre Power dealer at tyrepower.com.au.
Beat the 3 p.m. slump with a Macca's run and grab something from the delicious new Biscoff range, like the Biscoff Coffee Frappe or Biscoff McPops, and turn feeling slumped into feeling pumped. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants.
You're listening to the 2025 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation. The Macca's Fiery New Spicy Chicken McWrap is here.
Drop punt on the way is looking pretty good. It's high and it's straight for Big Max. He says if the forwards can't do it, leave it to me. Some space. Brayshaw from 45. Snuck it in. A little bit of class from Andy Brayshaw. Windsor a chance to make amends. Runs to 48. Kick on the way. Is a goal. Left forward pocket. The wrong side for Michael Walters, who's usually a left footer. Guess what? It doesn't matter. He puts the arms out to the crowd. Welcome back to Mandra's Rushton Park. We're at three-quarter time. It's Fremantle 11-11-77. Melbourne 6-15-51. They showed plenty of fight in the early stage of that third quarter, Steve Malaxos, to go on a run. The Demons, who are without their young key forward, Jacob Van Ruin, who has back spasms. They got it back to 14 points, and then Fremantle, with a couple of late goals, put it back out to 26. What have you made of the game so far?
Well, Fremantle have been pretty solid all game. I think the first 10 or 15 minutes of that quarter, Melbourne looked really good, particularly when Petrarca and Oliver were on ball. Oliver hasn't been on ball the whole time, spent a bit of time on the forward line. He's kicked 3 goals. He's not really a noted goal kicker, but his goal in third quarter was excellent. Evasion and a left foot goal. We see Pickett coming on field now. Is that Cozzy Pickett?
Yep, certainly is. And
starting on ball. So he's going to play about 1 quarter of footy. Gee, the shorts look pretty big on him, by the way.
Eddie Betts like shorts.
Yeah, so trying to get a little bit of oomph into him. They're worried about the siren here or something. But I think if you're in Melbourne, you would hope and to a certain extent expect that they would fight on in this quarter and not let Fremantle blow this game out by 7 or 8 goals. I don't think that'd be a good result from them. Fremantle, just more of the same, played good solid footy for most of the game.
First centre clearance of the fourth term goes the way of the D's and Petrarca out to left half forward. Wagner first to it for Fremantle, up the line in search of Reedy, who made a contest against Lever but found the comfort of the boundary line. Ball in between wing and half forward for the Dockers.
Yes, no, it's been interesting how Cozzy Pickett's been handled. Just to play the one quarter and now he's on ball, unless he was feeling a bit crook and now he said he's fine. Quite an unusual management of him in this game, and I'm not blaming the coach. There must be a specific reason for it.
Maybe they were worried about the heat and maybe they wanted it to cool down a little bit. Who knows? We'll try and get word out of Melbourne a little bit later. As in some space was Neil Erasmus, who's onto the ground, and that would have been a really nice start to his afternoon. He's come into the game. Left foot snap 45 out. Had more time than I reckon he thought he did.
Yeah, he's capable of kicking that, Jim. So there's been a few changes by the coaches in this last quarter. Here's Cozzy now.
Good little kick inboard. Landed in between Fritsch and Petrarca. Melbourne running it away. Petrarca's in some space here at half forward, but it's not going to get there quite yet. Fritsch and now Petrarca eventually at left half forward. Marks about 70 from home. Wheels with a drop punt to the square. At the back, Turner didn't quite get all the mitts on it. Pickett might have had his head taken off. No free. Wagner mops up. Cox just off a step sends it out to his defensive 50. Nice to see Tajwo Woden in the game for the D's. Not his best kick, though. Turnover. Reedy. Dockers can go to the other end here. Murphy Reid on his boots. Witkowski's got wheels. Will the footy sit for him? It does. Away go the Dockers. O'Driscoll runs to 45. Left foot kick is a beauty. He's had a day, Nathan O'Driscoll. Opportunity is calling his name. Nathan O'Driscoll with a beautiful finish on the run from 45 out. The first major of the final quarter goes the way of Fremantle. 12-12-84 to Melbourne. 6-15-51 on the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys.
What's been evident today is Fremantle can really move the ball slickly and fluently. They went from one end of the field through the goals in about 15 seconds and that's happened a couple of times. And O'Driscoll, really nice finish on his left foot, and he's had a good enough game to just about ink his name in the round one team.
Couple of goals for O'Driscoll and at centre bounces as well. So he seems to be the one that's gone by Neil Erasmus and Johnson in the Dockers midfield. And here he is again on cue. O'Driscoll, beautiful kick at the feet of Reid, who was just diving and couldn't hang on. And Melbourne get away with one there, I reckon. Liam Reedy was just about half a metre from swallowing it.
I thought it was a pretty good kick by O'Driscoll. Reedy had his opponent right on him and he kicked it to the side and low, gave Reedy just about every chance. Diving low chest marks aren't easy, but an AFL footballer would want to be taking those in all seriousness, Jim.
He is a big man, Liam Reedy.
That's true. So,
big ruckman having to go down a little bit further than you or I, Steve.
Yeah, okay. I'll give him a little bit of leniency then, Jim.
Now, here's Fritsch, who's had to come up the ground to get a kick as it's knocked away from Pickett by Wagner.
Yep.
We'll get a ball in on true centre wing underneath the scoreboard here at Rushton Park on the Hayden Ballantyne wing.
Yes. Well, Gawn's back on. He came off in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, a little bit sore. But he's been a real Trojan for Melbourne today. Looks in pretty good form.
Just repeating the news for D's fans that Jacob Van Rooyen played about 5 minutes of this game and then was out with back spasms. So they are missing a key piece of their forward six. Luke Ryan pokes it to the wings. Solid, strong hands from Switkowski, who has a couple of options. And eventually finds one at left half forward. Solid mark by O'Meara. O'Driscoll involved again. Into the pocket. Great kick. Good vision. Mark is taken by Pat Voss, I reckon it is. Yep, it is. Wearing Matt Tabernar's old 20. 35 out. Left forward pocket. An opportunity here for Pat Voss, who hasn't played the first 3 quarters, but is injected into the game, Steve.
Absolutely, and a very neat outside of the foot kick by Driscoll. And he's still running really well. He still looks really quick late in the game, Jim. Nice kick.
Pat Voss with the drop punt. Makes a mark with his first kick of the afternoon. Patrick Voss gets in on the Fremantle action. And Nathan O'Driscoll, there's a story developing around his game this afternoon, no doubt. So 13-12-90 to 6-15-51. The Dockers are in control. Nathan O'Driscoll, all of a sudden this afternoon, Steve, is going to be a name that we're going to have to watch closely over in Western Australia. And perhaps more broadly, if he's going to be attending centre bounce all across the country this AFL season.
Yeah, well, he's played well today. Started in the centre square a couple of minutes ago. Now he's out on the wing, so they swing in between both those roles. It's really important now, I reckon, Jimmy, for Melbourne to fight this game out. You know, you don't want to... 39 points is marginal. You don't want to end up getting beaten by 10 goals in a practice match. I never think that's... Never think that's a really good idea.
Fremantle out of the middle again. Bolton on the left boot toward the square over the head of Amos. And more than happy to seek the refuge of the goal line is Jake Lever. Minor score for the Dockers, 13-13-91 rather, to 6-15-51. 7 gone, final quarter on our scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys. The D's work it from half back. Bowie, turnover. O'Driscoll doing a little bit of everything in this final quarter. Goal assists, intercept marks. Johnson has it. Up against the boundary line between wing and half forward here for Fremantle. He sends the Dockers inside 50. Down there is Voss, who got one bite at it but couldn't complete the mark. And Langdon on the receiving end of the kick. Out of the D's defensive 50 they go. Oh, Bowie went one-handed from the hand pass from Viney. Come off the shin of a couple of Dockers. Walker goes in. He's tackled by Billings. Ball up on centre wing.
Yeah, I was just looking at the fixtures. Jim, Melbourne play GWS round 1 at home. I think that's going to be a tough one for them to win. Based on this, if GWS are anywhere near their top form.
Let's hope the Van Ruin stuff is a precaution, and let's hope that Cozzy Pickett's only been managed through today, because he's
moving all right, Jim. Like he's actually running really hard with speed, and so I don't know what the issue was, or maybe it was just a playing for a quarter. Not sure.
Let everyone else get fatigued, and you come on fresh and almost like a sub roll. Here he is, bursting through.
He's been in everything.
Got around what would have been an Erasmus tackle. He looks fine now. Does a 360 around Johnson. Into the 50. Just couldn't quite get to Turner. Just needed about 2 more centimetres. Turner goes again, tackled by Davies. In the pocket this football is. Billings pushes and goes inside for Sparrow. And underneath it, the mark dropped by Sharp. He just had to be a little bit more courageous, and he would have been directly out 20 metres. The D's still a chance here. Fritsch receives it left half forward. Into the hot spot. Turner. That's better for Melbourne. Forward comes out. Turner on hands and knees. Marks it. 30 out. Left forward pocket.
Classy kick by Fritsch. That was... as Dennis Cometti used to say, centimetre perfect. And it needed to be, and it was. Really classy kick. Chance for Johnson to score his first, I think.
Turner, I think it is.
Turner, I mean.
Who didn't want to go the drop punt. He went the snap around the corner. Simon Goodwin won't care because he's kicked the goal. That's his first of the afternoon. It has been slim pickings for the D's front 6. Clayton Oliver's got 3. But their total score of 7-15-57 to Fremantle's 13-13-91 will be something that they will certainly speak about in the review this week.
Yes, well, the young forwards Turner and Johnson, they've shown a bit. They're not up to the mark for AFL footy based on today at the moment, but with further games and further development they could well be. They've sort of had nearly games, nearly taken a mark, nearly took control of the ball at a certain time. They're certainly not the first choice tools for Melbourne, but in a way it's good for Melbourne to have given them this exposure, perhaps forced into it, but these are the sorts of players Melbourne need to come through very shortly.
Out of the middle comes Johnson, who's tackled by a couple of Ds.
And now Pickett's gone from the midfield into the forward line, and probably might play the whole quarter out, Jim. They'll keep him out there, maybe.
Petrarca taking a tackle by Johnson. Another ball up, just between the centre circle and the edge of the centre square here at Melbourne's attacking end. Sparrow somehow manufactured a handball out of there. Petrarca gets some space, runs to 45, and on the goal line, a nice mark taken by Cox. So it's nice.
Very solid, Cox. Kicked it to Ryan, who's been solid.
Not 15, as Ryan just gets it out of the defensive 50. Here's Cozzy Pickett showing off his wheels. And all by himself, Bailey Fritsch marks 45 out left forward pocket. He'll go back and have a shot.
Well, Pickett injected into the game this last quarter, obviously really fresh. The other boys have played 3 quarters of footy in the heat, and Pickett is standing out with his speed and agility. That was very classy play. Picked the ball up ground level, dodged 2 blokes, hit it, and hit Fritsch on the left. High level, high quality football by Pickett.
So he comes in at left half forward,
Horrible.
kick on the way. Hasn't had his normal
goal kicking
sharpshooter goal kicking boots on today. Bailey Fritsch. We both thought he kicked that one in the first quarter and he missed it. He might get another opportunity here. Coming back inside 50. Sparrow got up over the back of Hugh Davies and took a nice mark. Tom Sparrow, 40 metres out, almost directly in front. He was brilliant in the opening part of this game, but as has been the story for the whole team this afternoon, hasn't really been in the thick of it too much, probably since opening first 10 minutes.
He was all involved in everything the first 10. The boy who kicked the Tombs picked number 11 in last year's draft from Gippsland, Xavier Lindsay, so good kick by the young boy, and Sparrow has nailed that.
So the D's showing some fight toward the end of this match. Tom Sparrow makes the most of an opportunity to get the D's their 8th. They're 8-16-64 to Fremantle's 13-13-91. 13 gone, final quarter on the scoreboard for Tyre Power. Big brands, better buys, save on Falcon tyres. Here's Steve Malaxos with his thoughts on how the final 10 or so minutes might play out.
Well, Melbourne look as though there's bits and pieces of their game that have been good. There's bits and pieces of... also, there's some players that have looked really good, others average. Just hasn't quite come together for them all today as a collective in terms of how they need to play and in terms of individual performances. They have given exposure to young guys, so it's a bit of a muddle, the lineup for Melbourne for round 1 and how they're going to go, in my opinion. But in parts, they've been good, in other parts, horrible. Some players have played great, others average. Fremantle have been the more consistent unit, have a clear understanding of how they need to play, and, terrible mistake.
Just as you were giving them a wrap, Clark turned it over. It was Petrarca who gave it to Billings, who had way more time to settle and kick a goal.
I reckon he's had 5 shots a goal, Jack Billings, Jim, which is good. At least he's having the shots, but he hasn't kicked one.
Petrarca could have even, if he wanted to, in a different universe, scored himself.
Well, to me, it's been really noticeable how unselfish Petrarca's been, and in a way looks to be going out of his way to bring other players into the game. And a couple of times I agree with you. Certainly the handball he gave Viney, he would have been better off having a shot himself.
Erasmus was out in a paddock, linked up with Reed, who goes inside 50, kick cut off by the Demons and Lever. Fans it wide across D50 for Bowie. Been solid back there for the D's.
Yeah, a few mistakes, but solid.
Sends it long and high up the wing. Oh, big collision between Clark and Viney was all legal as Sparrow immediately tackled as he gathered. Here go the D's. Sharp a chance. Has Petrarca on his inside. Petrarca shepherds. Sharp can run all the way to 40. Drop punt. He got it in. He snuck it in. With the afternoon the D's have had, I wasn't going to be sure until I saw the football go all the way through the middle. And Harry Sharp, the former Lion, gets some reward for effort in what's been a pretty tough afternoon for the D's. 9-17-71 to 13-13-91. It's a 20-point margin, but they've been nowhere near their best, the D's, this afternoon.
No, as I said, there's been parts of their game that have been good. There's been parts of quarters where they've played really well, and Sharp's an example. That was a really nice finish, a good bit of play, but only a couple of moments ago he dropped a mark 20 metres from goal, got two hands to it, should have taken it. So for a lot of the game, Melbourne have had it hasn't all come together for them, either as individuals or collectively, bar Petrarca and Oliver, who look great, and most of the defence hasn't been too bad.
16.5 gone fourth quarter.
But they've hung in there, Jim. They could have, Fremantle could have really made a mess of the scoreboard, but Melbourne have been pretty good since half-time.
Yeah, it looks like they're certainly playing to the final buzzer here, which is nice to see. Viney, a quick snap, and missing to the left-hand side. So that would have made things interesting.
Would have.
20-14 instead is 20-19, and that's the Dockers who have the advantage on that Tyre Power scoreboard. 91-72, 17 gone final quarter. Short little kick in for Luke Ryan.
It's those little snaps that Viney had there, and an earlier one by might have been Johnson. These are the ones that, when the season's on, they're going to need to take advantage of. Goals aren't going to come easy for Melbourne, I don't think. They just need to take their opportunities in those situations.
This will be fascinating. Sharp, right half forward, hot spot kick, goes over the head of a couple of their key forwards. Fritsch and Johnson laid the pressure down there, and Fritsch...
Melbourne are fit, aren't they, Jim? I reckon they're
running it out.
Absolutely. I'm not saying Freo aren't fit, but Melbourne are really finishing strongly in pretty warm conditions away from home.
We've seen Erasmus come into the game for Fremantle, Pat Voss too. And for the D's, we've seen Cozzy Pickett play just the fourth quarter and want to dispel the concerns. He looks just fine, Cozzy Pickett. I'm sure it's just a management thing from Melbourne, as Brayshaw always trying his guts out to the wing at the feet of Amos, who did well to pick it up and gather and give the handball off to O'Driscoll, who just looked up and got a little bit excited, and then the bounce didn't come back to him.
He can really motor though, can't he?
Always quick.
Once he gets in a stride, he really bolts out.
He's got great pace and explosiveness, power, and long strides too, I reckon. Big long legs.
Yeah, he's when he gets the ball forward of centre in space, he's quite exciting.
Ball back into play on the outer wing here at Rushton Park. Murphy Reed's handball for Switkowski. Comes out to Clark, who just sent it inside 50 with the outside of the boot. O'Driscoll charges at the football, gathers, handball to Walters. Amos gives it on the goal line, and an easy one for Matt Johnson. All set up by the endeavour and tackle on the football by Nathan O'Driscoll. Fremantle go to 14-13-97. Melbourne 9-18-72. 19 gone final quarter.
You summed it up exactly, Jim. Without O'Driscoll's attack on the football, that wouldn't have been a goal for Fremantle. He attacked the ball hard, gained control, and then some good slick handball by the Fremantle forwards resulted in an easy goal. They teamed together well, the Fremantle forwards. they're quite intent on giving the ball to a player in the best position, and they seem to have a pretty good understanding of where they are. As compared to the Melbourne forwards, I know the Melbourne forwards are a lot younger, haven't played together anywhere near as much, but that's somewhere where Melbourne have got to get to with their forward line, how the Fremantle forwards seem to have a better understanding of where each other is and what the patterns are going to be than their Melbourne counterparts.
Looks like a 666 infringement, which will be a warning.
Yeah, they're still giving the warnings, aren't they, Jim?
And then we'll see the ball. Slight tweak to this rule. They're going to bounce it instead of throwing it up. No real advantage for either ruck there. Erasmus tackled as he gathered. Oliver has his head and hands over the football.
Faded a bit this quarter, Oliver, hasn't he?
Certainly has, as Viney receives from Gawn in search of Johnson. Good body work.
Yeah.
There's a positive on the afternoon for the D's front six. Johnson marks 30 metres out, slight angle in the left forward pocket.
Yeah, Aiden Johnson, who was in the Werribee Premiership team last year, a 24-year-old mature recruit, obviously played well in the VFL. Both he and Turner have looked likely at times. They haven't played well, but they just need more games, a little bit more improvement, and they might nearly make it.
Johnson comes in, kick on the way, goalpost height, looked confident and is confident. It's a major. That'll do Aiden Johnson's confidence the world of good, and his teammates come from everywhere to get around him. Melbourne peg one back, 10-18-78 to Fremantle 14-13-97, 21 and a half gone. Final quarter scoreboard, Tyre Power, big brands, better buys.
And hasn't the game really opened up, Jim, in this last quarter? Goals and coming a lot more freely. Teams not getting back and defending as hard. I mean, the first quarter, there was 2 goals scored? And since then, there's been 22. So gradually the game's opened up. That's often the case in a game, but a little bit more pronounced today, I believe. But yeah, well done to Melbourne. Since half-time, I think there's been some encouraging signs. I thought it was shaping up as a bit of a disaster at one point when they were 6 down at half-time, but they have fought it out, and not just fought it out, they've showed some good skill and some good cohesion.
Erasmus's kick was at the feet of Murphy Reid, whose clean hands were pivotal there. Inside 50 go the Dockers, but it's coming out. Intercepted
by Warner.
Yeah, Carl Warner.
He reads the play quite well. That's the second sort of intercept mark he's taken, Jim. That's a nice kick.
Into the hot spot. Voss came in from the side and marked it. It'll be paid. It might have come off the hands of another player, but I reckon Voss was first there and first to it. And he will go back 40 out. Yeah. Directly in front, and a chance to kick 2 1/4.
Well, we were right behind the Warner kick, and he kicked that beautifully to Voss. He kicked it to his advantage. He kicked it at a height which allowed Voss every opportunity to mark it, and Voss was able to complete the mark. And what's this, his second, Jim? Is that what
this
you're saying?
will be if he can kick truly. The ex-Essendon VFL product comes in and kicks it. So Patrick Voss, 2 goals in the fourth quarter. He has only played the fourth quarter. Reminding the Fremantle coaching staff that, if required, he is certainly an option for them up front. 15-13-103.
Absolutely.
To Melbourne's 10-18-78. It's going to be fascinating to see how they manage that this year with Amos and Tracy there, and of course when Darcy comes back and Jackson potentially there. Well, it's going to be hard.
If Darcy comes back, probably will, but he's still got. And in what shape does he come back? Yes, it will be. Fremantle send out the messages seemingly that they like it when Jackson is Darcy's the number 1 ruckman. Seem to favour that setup, and Jackson is the forward. But Darcy's hasn't played much footy of late, Jim.
He certainly hasn't. He's been very unlucky with injury and required.
Has he been unlucky, or has he not looked after himself properly?
I will leave that to your better advice and expertise?
It looks like he's worked pretty hard this pre-season, but the fact that his body shape stands out so much this pre-season raises the question about previous. But he's played some good footy nevertheless, and at times very good footy.
And there is a story going around this afternoon that there is a chance that Luke Jackson could backflip on his desire to remain in WA for the journey of his career, and that Melbourne clubs are trying to get him back to Victoria. So that's certainly going to be
Jackson.
That's certainly going to be a story to wait and watch and see how it unfolds to begin this week in the football media, as O'Driscoll slipped out of a tackle. Tracy does the roving. In fact, it was Voss who did well. And there's Luke Jackson from the top of the goal square drilling the major.
How many years did he sign for?
I think it was till the end of 2029. So a couple of reports on social media this afternoon, and given that Fremantle have that desire to...
What are you suggesting, that the club would...
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying that I think Victorian clubs
might take over his contract.
Have asked the question about potentially getting him back to Melbourne. He is obviously a Perth product. But it's definitely going to be a wait and watch.
Often these rumours, they don't always come true.
No.
But
sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do. And even so, it's come from somewhere, Someone, whatever it is.
Management.
Yeah, look, Luke really likes Melbourne or whatever, I don't know. But anyhow, he's looked pretty good today, Jackson. Not necessarily marking and tap work, but around the ground has looked really good, moving well, looks in good shape.
He gets the major there. Fremantle will go to 16-13-109 to Melbourne 10-18-78. They've just done what needed to be done today, Fremantle. Petrarca, been so solid this afternoon, links up with Pickett, who has a bounce, runs to 48, drop punt on the way from Cozzy Pickett, right to the line and nudged through, and a big collision with the goalpost for Brennan Cox, who was so desperate to make sure that wasn't a goal.
And Davies, the young defender, he's been quite solid. He would have played on Turner and Johnson at times, and they haven't done much, so... Davies quite a good stoppers role. He's not in the A team for their defence, but handy depth player at the moment and might develop into something more in the near future.
Free kick going the way of Gawn on the edge of the centre square here.
Now, why would he want to kick to you? He has got no idea. There's a couple of minutes to go. Anyhow, he has.
Here's Adams. Goes long to the square, flying early. One demon, waiting down, another. Daniel Turner marks on his chest, and a chance to go back for his second in the term. He snapped this one from a little further out before.
Same technique, Jim.
It's almost a running snap, and he's just snuck it in. The Fremantle defender on the goal line there, Jordan Clark, suggesting maybe it went over the top of the goalpost. Goal umpire ran a long way. It doesn't matter. It's a goal, and Daniel Turner's got two, which is positive signs for D's fans.
Well, the game's now regressed to a real, not a practice match, but just the heat's gone out of it, hasn't it? Teams are winning the ball now, moving it pretty freely from one end to the other. Players, I don't reckon it's necessarily tiredness. I think they're not working as hard defensively. The pressure around the ball has dropped a bit, and I think a lot of the players would be happy with the siren to go and hit the showers and go, well, I got through the game, got through pre-season, I can look forward to round one right now.
Fremantle 16-13-109 to Melbourne 11-19-85. Erasmus in the middle with Johnson, who lays a big tackle on Viney. Johnson eventually emerged with the football, but not before the umpire blew the whistle. Ball up.
Well, the scoreboard's going to look not too bad for Melbourne. They've ended up with 30 scoring shots and 11 goals. Gee, Pickett's been good out of the middle, hasn't he?
How about that kick for Max Gawn, who didn't have to break stride into the pocket for Fritsch. Now, he didn't want to take the shot. He goes back to Billings, who's a little further out. 45 out at left half forward, the former Saint. And he has struggled today to find the big sticks, but so too is Fritsch, who didn't look all that confident in taking the shot.
Yeah. Is it Billings?
Yeah, Jack Billings out there, I think. Left footer. 45. Got really close to the man on the mark. Didn't get the journey. And it's rushed through on the Freo's goal line.
Yeah. No, I was getting confused here with Vining, who's a 7, and Billings has got the orange boots on as well.
Former St Kilda player, Jack
well
Billings.
done,
So
Jim. You know your players.
Spent a lot of time watching him in his 10 years at St Kilda, Steve Malaxos, I can assure you.
I reckon he's had 6 shots a goal, Jack Billings.
And I'm not sure he's kicked one.
No.
Back inside 50, the D's go. Warner gives the handball to Erasmus, who's so good at finding space. There's never any Demons player near him. Goes back to Wagner, kicks out to the wing, leading the race for the football is May. Up to half forward, Fritsch out to meet it, went one-handed. Free kick going the way of Melbourne here. Petrarca was held. A little bit too far out to score with the fatigue setting in.
Yeah, true.
And the sun in his eyes. He just goes to Sparrow, marks at the 50, runs to 47, kick on the way, hits the post. And he's very frustrated with himself.
Yeah.
Hands on the head. Can't believe it.
I reckon he's had a few shots too, Jim, at goal. What's he kicked? One.
He might have even been the one that hit the post earlier in the second quarter.
They have hit the post twice, Melbourne. They've ended up having more shots than Fremantle, Jim. 32 to 19, but
it's 16-13, 109 to 11-21, 87. So,
but a lot in the last quarter, Jim, when the Stings went out of the game. But I will say, it does look like Melbourne are really fit. They are really power running still, aren't they?
Fritsch got a hand to it, comes to ground. Chandler snapping to the goal line. Nice little clever fist from Sharp, and then Davies does the same thing to knock it through. So the players, you can just sense, like you mentioned a moment ago, Steve Malaxos, so just waiting for this fourth quarter bell to end this game. Melbourne 11-22-88, Fremantle 16-13, 109.
And if you're a fringe player, you want it to go for a bit longer. I just want to get a goal if I'm a forward or from a midfielder run, and this is my chance, you know. Guys like Warner for Freo and Sparrow there, although he's not a fringe player, but would like to finish the game strongly.
Bolton nearly added to his highlight reel there. Went really early for the mark on the wing. Didn't quite hang on to it. Bowie gives the handball to Rivers from 50. This would be a classy finish from Rivers, but he hits it skinny, misses to the near side. So you're right. Fremantle look like maybe they checked out a little bit earlier in this term, and Melbourne have all of a sudden gone to 11-23.
For Freo supporters, I hope it's sort of mental. They've checked out. They've rested a few players, but certainly, to me, Melbourne look as though they're running the stronger in this last quarter, in the last 15 minutes. Stronger than Fremantle.
Big hit on Oliver by Johnson. Was all fair and legal. Johnson looks like he might have come off second best there, as a shot on goal from the youngster in Woden there is also to the near side.
They're all having shots now, Jim, aren't they? What happened to centering the ball or whatever? That's a second shot from in front of us on the boundary line last 2 minutes.
I've lost faith in the forwards. 11 goals, 24. It's a bizarre scoreline. Warner's nearly walked himself out of bounds there. Just kept it in as the umpire told him to play on. Chapman.
Long quarter, Jim.
Hits the 45.
Nearly 34 minutes long.
Plenty of goals in it. Siren due to go any moment, I reckon. And there it is. Well, full time here from Rushton Park in Mandurah to end the AFL Community Series. Fremantle 16-13, 109 to the D's 11-24, 90. The scoreboard has just flicked off, so I'm just going to make sure I got that D scoreboard right. As soon as the bell has gone, 16-13, 109 to 11-24, 90.
Saving on electricity, mate.
As soon as the siren went, they flicked the scoreboard off.
Within 1 second.
I can't believe that. Now, we don't have a long post-game for Macca's. Their delicious new Biscoff range is even more reason for a Macca's run. Steve Malaxos, WA Football Hall of Famer. A couple of words on Fremantle first before we get to Melbourne.
A strong performance from Fremantle. Showed some good signs, particularly in the second and third quarter. And at times they moved the ball superbly from one end to the other. Tapered off a little in the last 10 or 15 minutes. A few players went off, whether that was the reason, whether they'd not altogether put the cue in the rack, but certainly Melbourne were running and moving the better in the last 10 minutes. I want to compliment Melbourne on doing that. But a good, solid performance from Fremantle. Most of the players who played today are looking pretty good form, and they'll go into round one feeling pretty good about themselves after today's performance. Melbourne probably resurrected it a little bit in the second half. At half-time, I would have been a little bit concerned if I was a Melbourne supporter. 6 goals down at half-time, and you've only kicked 1 goal is a cause for concern. And in the second half, they've kicked 10 goals, 18 or something. Certainly finished on pretty strong. To me, they do look fit. Great for Melbourne, the Petrarca and Oliver look in good form. Problems in converting up forward, not only from the efficiency in front of goal point of view, 11-24 is not the best, about a third, 33%. You've got to be aiming at about 55, 60%, but also from the amount of inside 50s, particularly in the first quarter. They had a lot of play but didn't get it on the board, and that has plagued Melbourne for a number of years, and on today's performance, doesn't look like they've altogether got on top of it, despite giving a couple of young forwards a go. They had a few forwards out. Van Rooyen was a late withdrawal.
WA Football Hall of Famer Steve Malaxos, it's been a pleasure working with you once again, Stav. No doubt we'll do it again at some point during this football season. We'll sign off from here at Rushton Park. Fremantle 16-13-109. Melbourne 11-24-90. The AFL season proper begins Thursday night, pending Cyclone Alfred. AFL Nation is where you can hear all of the best calls in the AFL business. Thursday, it's Brisbane and Geelong at the Gabba.
That quarter on AFL Nation was for Tyre Power. Selected Falcon tyres, buy 3, get 1 free.
Stephen Quartermain returns to the commentary box. Hear the legend every week as part of the AFL Nation call team, right here on SEN.
Welcome to This Is Your Journey with Sam Edmund for Tobin Brothers Funerals, a family-owned business since 1934. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show, made possible by our friends at Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives. This week, we're joined by a man who, well, he not only embraced footy's dark arts, but he perfected them to play a vitally important role for his AFL club. Stephen Baker played 203 games for St Kilda between 99 and 2011, winning a best and fairest and featuring in 11 finals and 3 grand finals. The Tagger was no stranger to controversy, nor the tribunal. Suspended for 28 matches during a career in which he was prepared to do just about anything to get his Saints over the line. That's why his teammates loved playing with him and his coaches had to pick him. He's since moved on to some big things off the field as well. Stephen Baker, welcome and thanks for joining us.
No worries, thanks for having me. Great intro.
I must admit, I did wrestle with introducing you. I didn't want to have you hung, drawn and quartered right off the top. Was I fair?
Yeah, that was good. No, some goes down the suspension route. I know Mike Sheen opened with the only player to get 15 tribunal appearances and 15 guilty. So that was a great intro. The best I've had. So thanks, sir.
Which, it means that you fit into that type of, where your teammates might have been very glad you were playing with them rather than against them.
No, I think so. I think once they learned a few of my tactics, they were pretty happy to be on my team. That's for sure.
Hey, now this really is a question without notice. I'm not sure if you've been asked this before, but just speaking of teammates, is it true or is it maybe urban legend that you used to look to touch Lenny Hayes before a game, just in the hope that his magic would rub off on you? A little ritual.
Well, I wouldn't put it in those words, but I did. Whenever I was feeling down, I'm not a spiritual man at all. So I look back thinking, it's a bit different for me. But whenever I was feeling a little bit down, I used to think Lenny Hayes was like Superman. So I'd think he had superpowers. And so whenever I was having a shit game and it was half time or three-quarter time in the huddle, I'd go up and secretly just grab the corner of his jumper and hold on to him while we're listening to Grant Thomas or Rossi Lyon for 5 minutes in the huddle. So that was a true story, and I think I didn't even tell him. I think I brought that out with when he got into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I sort of felt a bit silly doing it, but he heard the story and loved it. So that's a true story.
Just in the way you were perceived, which again I reckon is a question that you would have been asked and thought about a lot throughout your career, because like the players, the fans, like the Saints fans, loved you. Opposition fans hated you. And there was an interview in The Age once where you were asked how you were looked at outside of the Saints bubble, and you said, "Let's not beat around the bush, an arsehole."
I think I was called everything under the sun, but I knew if the opposition crowd was getting into me, that sort of meant I was doing my job, because usually it'd stand out if you're giving the other team's best player a touch-up. So I loved being hated, because it just meant I was doing my job.
Yeah, so your job, the role that you played, Bakes, but more than that, the way that you played it. Like, I don't know what you want to say, rule bending, rule breaking, embracing the villain aspect of things. It takes a special personality and a mentality, and not everyone can play that way. Why could you, looking back?
I don't know. I think it goes back to my childhood. I was always a small kid, so I was used to getting sort of roughed up when I was younger and sort of growing up. And I suppose the way I made the AFL, I snuck in. I snuck into the Geelong Falcons. I was the last pick, I was told there, just because I got so many tackles in one of the games, the last practice match. And I suppose the tagging role popped up at St Kilda at the right time with Stevie Zilla retiring, so I popped into that role. But it was just I wasn't a very skillful player. I think the Saints just saw in me a little bit of a dog that loves to tackle, and the tagger role was perfect for me. So when I was given my chance on Buddha Hocking, it was a tough initiation. He punched me in the nose as I walked up to him and said, "Welcome to the AFL," and he broke my nose. And I kicked a couple of goals, and I flukily kicked a couple of goals that game with my first tagging role, and just went on from there and sort of learnt the craft, learned how to kick, because I wasn't the best kicker or handball, so I put a bit of extra work into that. But just fell into the role beautifully, because I loved a bit of a scrap, and loved sort of wearing people down.
So you mentioned the upbringing. That was out on the family property in Barongarook. I'm not sure I've ever been through Barongarook. It's one of those place names without a town up in the Otways, isn't it? What was childhood like?
No, I had a great childhood. Was it out on the streets of Colac? I had an older brother who was not easy. I mean, lovely. I loved him as a brother, but he was always bigger than me, 2 years older. So I was sort of always battling for position, and sort of followed his footsteps late playing footy. I didn't start until I was about 15. I got in a bit of trouble in Colac. Got caught street fighting a fair few times, and I was just a rough kid, I suppose. I had a great childhood and great upbringing, but. I don't know. I think I always just liked getting in trouble and liked a bit of a biffo. I've sort of took that into the footy a bit too much, I think.
What did Mum and Dad do when you were growing up?
Mum was a cleaner, and Dad worked for Telecom and computer software engineer. So
yeah. Now, Greg, your late father, Greg. I mean, we'll always because one of the great stories that he ran out on AAMI Stadium when Fraser did kick that 100th goal in the 2004 prelim final. I don't know. Did you actually see him out there at the time, the old man?
Yeah, he touched me on the arse. Said, "Go, Stevie!" He ran out. I think he led the charge and lost us that was the prelim, wasn't it? Lost us the prelim because he led the charge out on the ground. But God love him. Then he drove back. I think it was a 6 or 7 hour drive, whatever, and then ran on the field in my sister's netball grand final.